Start filling the cup of your relationships now.
I struggle with the things that I hear young people give as excuses. And I hear them and I sit down and I think about them and I'm wondering.
The reason our education is in shambles, whether it's vocational, whatever kind of education it is, our people don't have it. The only education that is free in any language is religion. So what it means is that he can educate himself religiously. There's no textbook in geography, in Igbo language, economics, in Ijo, ESA or ESACO, in biology. So the educational foundation is wrong in the first place.
We need to change the paradigm.
Something is coming.
So today we are going to break the rules. We have sat down together. We have sat down alone. It's time for us to break the rules. It's time for us to break the rules. It's time for us to break those rules. Normalcy will not be accepted.
Let me ask you this. If I played your life in a video from January 1 to today, will I be impressed? And what you don't understand is that the velocity with which you are moving at the beginning of the year is not to take you to the end. So your dreams can only be achieved to the degree to which you are hungry for those goals.
I am not here to motivate you. I've prayed before I came here. I prayed that some people need depression, may they live depressed. Some need to be driven, may they find it in this conversation. Some people need to give up. Some of them need to give up on a neighborhood. Some of them need to give up on an ideology or a philosophy. Some of them need to give up on some businesses. Even the Bible says there's time to hold on and the time to give up as lost. Giving up is a skill. You have to know when and how to give up. If all you know how to do is to hold on, you will hold on to what God is not backing up. You will hold on to what does not have the elasticity to expand. But it's only a matter of time. Once you hold on to what cannot stretch, you will give up the ghost.
What this place has provided for everyone is to understand that you can.
Understanding business and structure from the Bible. Minimum number of businesses Ubong King should have is 4. Minimum. Pareto's principle says 20% of your investment brings 80% of your result. How do you get it?
Question is, how many of you want to be successful in life? I need to see those hands up.
God says a dream is not what you see when you sleep. A dream is the one that will not allow you to sleep. My success is not that I'm the best in this industry. I am the most obsessed in any industry I put my head in. The first enemy of success is success. Your values determine your decisions.
Remember, you cannot grow beyond your imagination.
Our problem is not our location. Our problem is our thinking.
If you can think enough, what you have is more than enough.
Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, and subdue. Build this whole earth. Pain is the down payment for gain. If you are still satisfied in that placement, start feel out, so be it.
Prepare for disruption. Thinkation is loading.
If you can define who you are, if you have no conflicts in your head about who you are, your life will begin to take shape. So if you are looking for favors in future, start filling the cup of your relationships now.
I struggle with the things that I hear young people give as excuses. hear them and I sit down and I think about them and I'm wondering.
The reason our education is in shambles, whether it's vocational, whatever kind of education it is, our people don't have it. The only education that is free in any language is religion. So what it means is that he can educate himself religiously. There's no textbook in geography, in Igbo language, economics, in Ijo, ESA or ESACO, in biology. So the educational foundation is wrong in the first place.
We need to change the paradigm.
Understanding business and structure from the Bible. The minimum number of businesses Ubong King should have is 4. Minimum. Pareto's principle says 20% of your investment brings 80% of your result. How do you get to it?
Question is, how many of you want to be successful in life? I need to see those hands up.
God says a dream is not what you see when you sleep. A dream is the one that will not allow you to sleep. My success is not that I'm the best in this industry. I am the most obsessed in any industry I put my head in. So today we are going to break the rules. We have sat down together. We have sat down alone. It's time for us to break the rules. It's time for us to break the rules. It's time for us to break those rules. Normalcy will not be accepted.
Let me ask you this. If I played your life in a video from January 1 to today, will I be impressed? And what you don't understand is that the velocity with which you are moving at the beginning of the year is not to take you to the end. So your dreams can only be achieved to the degree to which you are hungry for those goals.
I am not here to motivate you. I've prayed before I came here. I prayed that some people need depression, may they live depressed. Some need to be driven, may they find it in this conversation. Some people need to give up. Some of them need to give up on a neighborhood. Some of them need to give up on an ideology or a philosophy. Some of them need to give up on some businesses. Even the Bible says there's time to hold on and the time to give up as lost. Giving up is a skill. You have to know when and how to give up. If all you know how to do is to hold on, you will hold on to what God is not backing up. You will hold on to what does not have the elasticity to expand, but it's only a matter of time. Once you hold on to what cannot stretch, you will give up the ghost.
What this place has provided for everyone is to understand that you can be what you want to be, but there are processes you have to follow.
Because I've always broken the rule of my life.
The AY you are seeing here, admiration took me across illusion, and the good Lord became my portion. When I made my decision, I was given an admission. After my matriculation, there was an examination. I was blessed with a graduation that led to my convocation. So all of you game changers, forget all actions coming through reaction, giving you tension and temptation. Be in progression, just in proportion to your promotion. Flee every evil communication. Get a good conception. Continue to be a ministrant in his ministration. With this collaboration, you get a distinction. Not in subtraction, but in addition. So, congregation, this is a session to be on motion with a mission to function. Thank you very much. My name is AY.
I'm not asking you to do something mad, but I think it's only crazy people that do big things. When a plane is in turbulence, you don't come back. You keep pushing till you get where you're going to.
Understanding business and structure from the Bible. The minimum number of businesses Ubong King should have is 4. Minimum. Pareto's principle says 20% of your investment brings 80% of your result. How do you get to it?
Question is, how many of you want to be successful in life? I need to see those hands up. A dream is the one that will not allow you to sleep. My success is not that I'm the best in this industry. I am the most obsessed in any industry I put my head in. The first enemy of success is success. Your values determine your decisions. Your decisions determine your actions, and your actions determine your results.
In 2019, we all stepped out of the box. In 2020, we broke all rules at Thinkation 2020, Thinkation XX. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time we dare to fly at Thinkation 2021. Introducing your hosts for this year's edition of Thinkation, Joyce Daniel and Sako.
Thank you so much, Alvin Nata. It's such an honor to be here.
Very, very great to be here today. And you know, it's amazing that the first time we're going to be having a virtual experience. And trust me, you won't be missing anything.
You will not miss, because there is still a lot of thinking and education right here at Thinkation 2021, the Memorial Edition.
And I'd like to let you know that in case you have your friend that hasn't connected yet, please share. Make sure you're sharing the video. Make sure you're commenting and let us know where you're watching from. We're spread across the world.
Across the world.
So let us know. Type. I'm calling from Lagos. I'm watching from Lagos. I'm watching from the UK. We want to see you. We want to feel you. We want the comment section to be very busy, right? Thank you so much for connecting.
And use the hashtag.
You can use the hashtag Thinkation 2021, and also you can use the hashtag Ubong King believes on.
For the Nigerian national anthem, join us welcome the singing sensation, Maya.
And after the Nigerian national anthem, we'll be having one of our friend and brother. His name is Leke Sax. He's been playing the saxophone for over a decade, and he's going to be giving us a time to dance. Get ready. We're doing that. We'll be back shortly.
Thank you so much, Leke and Maya, for such scintillating performances.
Great time dancing, especially to Leke's sax. Beautiful. I was almost lost in worship when Maya took the national anthem. It was basically, I was wondering, was that our national anthem, if not for the soundtrack? Great job, Maya.
Thank you, Maya. We love you. We have this 14-year-old positive-minded disruptor.
Yes. It was very, I met him for the first time last year when we had Thinkation. I had him speak and he was 13 then.
Such verve, such power, such anointing.
I see the passion that he has. He is a disruptor and he's doing amazing things, you know, as a teenager. I just can't remember what I was doing as a 14-year-old child.
I remember, but I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Let's welcome Temitope Johnson.
Mr. Ubong King, a great man, a disruptor, a change maker, a ground shaker, a thinker, and someone that thought out of the box. He's a man that represented true grass to grace story, an influence to the youth, a great success story, a man that truly showed me what success is. Mr. Ubong King, a man that showed that with great hard work, perseverance, and a struggle to learn and a desire to grow, you will grow. A man that believed in me when I was a nobody. A man that rewarded perseverance over anything. That is Ubong King. A man that taught me that animals, that the slightest, the things that we ignore most in life, can teach us some of the greatest life lessons in life. He used the example of the lion, the eagle. He showed that the lion is an animal that stood as king, not as a result of his size, not as a result of his power, but as a result of his thinking. He's the one that told me, he said, your thinking is too small. He's a great man that thought big. That is Ubong King, the greatest guy a man could ever meet. Sir Ubong King. And I pay my dearest respects to the greatest man I've ever met. A man that taught me so much lessons in life. He used the analogy of the eagle going through pain, going through hardship, by going every month to the mountaintop and breaking off his beak. Have a very blessed day, and his legacy will live on. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, welcome to the memorial edition of the Thinkation conference with the theme Dare to Fly. Thinkation is an event of the Ubong King Foundation that has been put together to speak to young people to come out of their dependency mindset and take on a productive mindset, as well as influencing the hungry minds in this generation to reposition themselves and get productive. Thinkation is the measure of thinking and education. We believe that thinking is a missing component in our young minds and businesses today, and that is why this event has been put together. Africans all over the world are celebrated for being well educated and for high and excellent performances in the educational spheres, but a lot of our communities remain impoverished and underdeveloped. Although Africa is richly endowed with natural resources, she has to depend on the expertise and influence from the Western world, which is quite sad. While there's nothing wrong with the Western influence, it has its positives. It is imperative that Africans develop their minds and know what to do with what they have in order to live in a better system. We must transcend education and infuse thinking into education. We need to exercise thinkation, thinking and education. The Ubong King Foundation hopes to help Africans from all walks of life to bridge the gap by nurturing the minds and thought processes of Africans. It's important to have the productive population of a nation well-groomed mentally to the point where they want to exceed the status quo that prevails in their surroundings in order to attain their full potential in career, finance, health, businesses, and relationships. Thinkation is a platform featuring established leaders and young and upcoming lions from different facets of life to share experiences, insights, and secrets that can help people achieve extraordinary impact and accelerate their personal growth trajectory in business and national development. It is an intimate forum that presents leadership-driven on conversations with quick-hitting expert presentations followed by in-depth discussions with experts. This edition is particularly special in so many ways. Coming from the back of a tumultuous 2020 to the exit of the troublemaker himself from this side of life, his assignment was such purpose-driven and very impactful. We are gathered here virtually as proof that indeed Ubong King lives on. The speakers at the Thinkation 2021 conference are great leaders, prolific speakers, writers, coaches and mentors and mentees. In their unique ways, they will share from their wealth of experiences, challenges, and motivate participants to give life their best shot in order to succeed. They are geared to direct participants in life and business success using the principles that have worked for them to give clarity, direction, know-how, strategy, vision, as well as inspire them to the strategic actions to succeed. On behalf of the organizing committee of the Thinkation 2021, the Ubong King Foundation, and myself, I want to say a big thank you to all who came together to make this happen. I appreciate all the speakers for your selflessness, the Thinkation and Troublemaker E-team, all who supported financially for the production and other logistics. Once again, I say thank you and God bless you. I welcome you and say thank you for honoring our invitation and registering to attend this memorial conference. Remember, Thinkation will always hold because Ubong King lives on. Thank you very much.
Thinkation 2021, Dare to Fly, the Memorial Edition. Thinkation, an initiative that started just like a seed planted in the heart of one man, is gradually becoming a phenomenon sweeping through the whole of Africa and beyond. The initiative, which started in 2018, was birthed by Dr. Ubong King, president of the Ubong King Foundation, as a means to combat the growing unemployment and poverty concern in Nigeria and Africa at large. The burden of solving this problem was so heavy on Dr. King's heart, he had to retire early from a company he started to channel all his energy and time to the actualization of this mandate. Thinkation, which is a poetic combination of two words, thinking and education, is an initiative that is promoting the importance of infusing critical thinking to education in order to acquire problem-solving skills that will be channeled to solving our economic problems and lifting mainly young people out of poverty. This agenda is strategically predicated on the convener's quest to contribute to the actualization of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 1 and 4, which is to reduce at least by half the proportion of men, women, and children of all ages living in poverty in all its dimensions, according to the national definitions, and to ensure that all young people acquire the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development through quality education by the year 2030. The first edition of Thinkation had over 800 people in attendance, with an array of global, political, and business leaders in attendance, including the former president of Ghana, His Excellency, late Jerry Rawlings, who unfortunately could not make it at that time, but sent in a video. The event gave birth to a mentorship network that has a lot of young people signed up to be personally mentored by Dr. Ubong King. In 2019, Thinkation grew bigger, with over 4,000 participants in attendance for the annual conference, which held at the Harbour Point Event Center, Lagos, with lots of industry leaders present to share their story with the participants. This geometric increase in the number of participants is a direct evidence of the growing number of mentorship network and influence of the Ubong King Foundation. Thinkation XS 2020, tagged Break the Rules, was definitely bigger than anything people had seen. It was the biggest, highest gathering of young people in Africa in one place, birthing disruptive, world-changing solutions that will change our world. In Dr. King's words, let's poke holes in this world we live in. It's about that time of the year again. It's Thinkation 2021. Dare to Fly, the Memorial Edition. This edition is unique in several ways. With the pandemic that took the world unawares in 2020, where restrictions were placed on movement at a time, and then gatherings for events, then of course the big one, the unexpected exit of the troublemaker himself from the big stage in this realm. For these reasons, Thinkation 2021 is a virtual online event streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. This year is going to be different, as Dr. Ubong King would want, with a tribe network of creatives, disruptors, energizers, focused, organizers, and thinkers still in place and meant to guarantee inclusive learning and coaching to the well over 1 million people that are expected to be part of this big online conference today. Remember, most times the big break comes the moment you step away from your comfort zone and dare to fly.
I wanted to grow up and kill the man that killed my father.
Ubong King's story of survival began at the age of 13 when he lost his father.
My father was everything that I wanted to be. My father gave me hope for tomorrow. My father was the God that I saw. So when he died, he had taken away my life. I didn't like life anymore. He was 39 at that time, and we found out he had a second wife and had 4 children. The 2 mothers used to throw plates, pans at each other. So I learned my dexterity in that house, in there, to be able to maneuver. I had to try and fend for myself.
While chaos surrounded him, Ubong had one major focus: to avenge his father's death.
Unfortunately, by the time I grew up, the man had died.
Seeing that revenge was no longer an option, Ubong King desperately needed to put his life in order. And then one day,
I hit somebody with a car. That evening, I had another accident. I hit a man who was drunk on a bike as well. The next morning, I had another accident. And I was afraid now, 3 accidents in 2 days. So I was scared to live, and I was scared to die. I said, if at least I die, let me go to heaven. I had to go to church.
Ubong accepted Christ as Lord over his life and eventually became a part of the security team of his local assembly.
That passion for not wanting to see anybody lose his property or his father was what now directed my passion into an industry called security. So it became interesting and fun. It was service, it was everything. Because scripture says that when God prepared the Garden of Eden, he told man, he said, protect it and guard it, in a translation. So I said, okay, my name of the company is called Guard It Security. I did not know that I needed a license. I didn't understand the business of security. It did not live long. My condition was not very good. It was not pleasant at all. I now started staying in uncompleted buildings, and eating food was a luxury because, we were not in the condition of
111. No, it is 001 or 10. We don't have 2 ones in a day. I'm on ripe pawpaw. It will serve as vegetable and meat.
Ubong met Ivy in church, and he knew she was the woman of his dream. They were sure they had a future together. What they didn't know was what it would take to get there.
When he proposed and I said yes, all hell broke loose because a lot of people could not imagine why I would say yes to somebody who would not be able to take care of me. But I had clear ideas of what I wanted.
Ubong and Ivy got married, and gradually things became better for them.
God had told me to do security, maritime, and logistics. I did not know what to do. But because God had said I should follow that industry, I decided to follow it then. So I began to know the players in the industry. I joined LinkedIn and I started studying combating piracy.
As he continued to study, doors of opportunities began to open up to him. Then one day, something remarkable happened.
I received a call from the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago High Commission and said, King, we would like you to plan security for the ambassador and 10 of our guests. They are coming into Lagos. We have heard about you and you are trusted. So I prepared a proposal and sent it. Immediately they approved. My profit on that deal was $4,000 equivalent. I received another call that same day to provide security for somebody in Akwa Ibom State. 4 days, my profit was $2,000 and they were ready to pay. A third call, same day, that I should plan security for a German for 15 days. My profit was $7,000 and everybody was ready to pay. That money that I thought I would make in 1 year, I made it in 3 months. And that's how I began to grow. God is not a liar. Whatever God has said concerning you, believe it, you will become it. Walk in faith and exercise your authority as a Christian to confess it. God says, that which I hear you say, that will I do. So keep walking in faith, trusting God, fellowship with the brethren, and look for quality mentors who can help you, show you and tell you from experience, like you're hearing my own. Tomorrow we will hear your own. Stay faithful and stay committed. Hi everyone, my name is Ubong King and I want to just make this video as a life lesson to everybody, especially if you are successful. I have mentioned in one of my videos that between 2 mountains of success, there's the valley of failure. And you need to understand that. The first enemy of success is success. Now, one of the things I always tell my friends, which I have gotten some new people now, is this, that between 2 mountains of success, there's a valley of failure. If you're ever on top here, you are coming down here next. There is nobody that has stayed up. Now, when you go up, it's hard work. Now, when you get here, complacency sets in. So you gradually start going down. When you go down, the problem is that to climb up the next hill, you don't know how steep it is. So to climb up is more difficult. Yes. So the only way to move from one mountain to another mountain is to build a bridge. Yeah? And what is a bridge? A bridge is people. People. Now, if you want results in 3 months, plant corn. If you want results, because in 3 months you plant the corn will come out. Instant business. If you want results in 1 year, plant yam. Yam you can harvest it, boil some, roast some, cook some. But if you want result of a lifetime, plant men. Men. So you deliberately have to grow men. Deliberately. Not as an assumption for different things. Because when you become weak here, these people are the ones that will carry you. The only way to move from one mountain to another mountain is to build a bridge. Yeah? And what is a bridge? A bridge is people. You don't eat alone. This is the lesson now. The lesson is that gravity is a law. whatever goes up must come down. You can never stay up forever. So if you are going up, learn to build people beside you. Learn to grow with people. Learn to carry others along. Because if you don't carry others along, when you get to the peak, there will be nobody to give you support system from one level to the other. Are you carrying people along with you? Because when you go up there, it will be difficult for you to stay up. Once the light shines, the power of that bulb has begun to die. So better know that now. As you are shining today, you are already depleting the energy you are carrying. The resources that took you there is burning out. That bulb cannot stay on forever. Another bulb will replace it. So as you succeed, know that your expiry time has come. So start getting others ready who will either take your place or you can mentor them. So make sure you prepare yourself for the next level and learn to coach other people. Learn to be part of making history in other people's life. Tomorrow has started. Once your shine has come, know that your end has started already. Nobody stays on top forever. Build people, build men, and build the society.
Dr. Ubong King.
Thank you. We miss you, but we know you'll always be with us. Thank you for the impact, the life you've blessed, the lives you will still continue to bless. Some people didn't have the opportunity of meeting you, but they are feeling your impact. And that's basically what you live for. You were always very careful about your words because you're always passionate about helping people, young people especially. Because one of the things I learned a long time ago meeting Ubong King was the issue about young people is food, free food. He keeps talking about free food, and I'm glad that you blessed our life, our paths crossed. Thank you so much. We love you.
We're the better for it.
Yeah, thank you so much. We sincerely love you, and we appreciate you for being a blessing to us.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now.
Our next speaker was our keynote speaker in 2019. Thinkation.
Came all the way from the United States of America. I think it was her first time coming to Nigeria, right?
And Thinkation brought her.
Thinkation brought her. Yeah, she enjoyed herself. I could see the joy. And she didn't come alone. She came with her husband and her daughter. I had a great time meeting her. Yeah.
I wish she could come again live, but we're also glad that she's joined the virtual experience. She's an empowerment speaker, a life strategist, a best-selling author, a sister, a friend.
Someone that believes that peace is the new success. And you know, it's still amazing when someone says peace is the new success and she works with a troublemaker. I don't know how you want to put the trouble and the peace. Well,
let's welcome together Sherry Riley. And immediately after her,
Steve Harris.
He is a business coach, life coach, business strategist.
A disruptor.
He is known as the ruthless execution. No, he's known as Mr. Ruthless
Execution.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harris.
We'll be back. Dare to fly.
Thinkation, the Memorial Edition. My husband and I thought about a recent talk that I did, and we felt like that it was very appropriate for such a time as this. So I hope you guys are blessed with the words that I hope continue to add to the celebration, add to the healing, and empower you to dare to fly.
Uncertainty, overwhelm, confusion, chaos, anger, frustration, disappointment, helplessness. Those are just a few of the emotions that have engulfed us, overwhelmed us, consumed us on a daily basis this year, consistently. We've lost jobs. We've lost loved ones. Many of us are working from home while being the substitute teacher for our kids. This is not how 2020 was supposed to be. This was not it. This is not how it was supposed to be. On March 20th, or March 10th, no, it was actually March 10th. March 10th, I flew back from a business trip, and I was excited. I was so excited about this first quarter. I was so excited about 2020. And a couple of days after I landed from that business trip is when the NBA had 2 players test positive for COVID-19, and they stopped their season. And right after that, everything stopped. And on that day, my business lost 6 figures in revenue. About 3 weeks later, one of the closest people to me passed away. And I wasn't able to be with her during that transition. And as things started to open up, my husband and I were still very concerned. So we had to make the really tough decision to pull our youngest daughter from her lacrosse and her volleyball teams, sports that she absolutely loves. And most recently, our oldest daughter went to college. But we didn't get to do that traditional freshman experience of taking our daughter and getting her settled in because of the obvious and understandable protocols, the quarantine protocols of New York City. And then Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and so many other people that we will never know their names were unjustly murdered. And our country had to take another serious look in the mirror and decide where does she stand on social injustice. And this was a relief for many. It was a burden for others. And unfortunately, it was a continued denial for far too many. And with all of this pain and discourse, many of us felt like, oh my God, can I take any more punches? Can I take any more punches? For me, at one point I was getting punch after gut punch after gut punch after gut punch to where I screamed from the bottom of my soul, I am done. I am done. I quit. I quit. And my dear friend of about 25 years was on the phone with me. She was like, whoa, sis. Whoa, whoa, wow. I've known you for a really long time. I have never, ever, ever heard those words come out of your mouth. And she said, the sad thing is I believe you. I believe you. And the truth is, I was done. I had done all I knew to do, and I was done. And as I laid on that bathroom floor and I cried 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 some more and I cried. I cried because I really wanted to quit. And I cried even harder because I knew I couldn't quit. I want to let that sink in. I cried even harder because I knew I could not quit. With all the pain and suffering that we've had in 2020, I know many of us have felt like, you know what? We can just cancel this year, right? Especially in this age of cancel culture. In this age of, let's just cancel it. Let's just be done. Let's just, like me, let's just quit. Let's just stop. And I know Kim started with this, but it's so important that I want to read it. I want to read it for us because I think it's so important for us to really understand. What if 2020 isn't canceled? What if 2020 is the year we've been waiting for? A year so uncomfortable, so painful, so scary, so raw, that it finally forces us to grow. A year that screams so loud, finally awakening us from our ignorant slumber. A year that we finally accept the need for change, declare change, work for change, become the change. A year we finally band together instead of pushing each other further apart. 2020 isn't canceled, but rather it's the most important year of them all. Because see, as I laid on that bathroom floor, defeated, deflated, and empty, it reminded me of another time that I was exhausted and absolutely burned out. And it reminded me of when I was exhausted and when I was burned out, I just kept saying, I'm empty. I'm empty. I don't have anything else to give. I'm empty. And as I was in that very tough and challenging place, I started to realize that, you know what, Sherry? You have got to shift your mind. You've got to shift this thinking. You got to shift this. And as I laid there and I thought about just how empty I was, I started to really think about, you know what, Sherry? Are you empty? Because that just sounds so discouraging. Or have you given your all? And when I really thought about it, that was more of my truth. I had given my all. And every time I said it, I felt just a little more encouraged. I had given my all. Every time I said it, I got a little more energized. I have given my all. Every time I said it, I felt like I had accomplished something. I felt victorious. I had given my all. And when I focused on not I'm empty and I'm exhausted and I'm burnt out, when I focused on I have given my all, that's when I realized it wasn't time to quit. It was time to recharge. It was time to recharge. How to power forward in times of uncertainty, in order for us to recharge, refocus, in order for us to rejuvenate, in order for us to get back up off that floor, we have to ask one very important question. One very important question. What does this make possible? What does this make possible? Because when we think about that question, when we answer that question, it allows us to, when I was writing my book, Exponential Living, Stop Spending 100% of Your Time on 10% of Who You Are, my dear friend Usher, he wrote the foreword for my book. And I went over to his house and we were sitting in the kitchen. And I went over there because I wanted to just spend some time, right? I wanted to just really share with him the vision and the purpose of this book that had been taking me 7 years to write. So, I'd been pouring my heart and soul into this book. And so I went to his house and we're sitting in the kitchen and I'm sharing with him about the power of peace. About the power of peace. And peace is the core of what we need. And peace is the power. Peace is the new success. And I could tell he was kind of looking at me a little funny, but I'm thinking he's just really, really listening, right? And so I keep going. And he finally goes, Sherry, hold on, stop. I don't want to be disrespectful, but you sound delusional. I'm glad he didn't want to be disrespectful. And so I'm kind of stunned, like, what do you mean? And he's like, you sound, okay, he was like, let me get this straight. because you want me to write the foreword to this. So I need to understand this. He was like, so what you're saying is that when people are faced with challenges and struggles and pain and frustration, they're just supposed to go, it's okay. I've got peace. Everything's cool. I have peace. I was like, no, it's the exact opposite. What I'm saying is that in the midst of the challenges, in the midst of the frustration, in the midst of the pain, that's when it's most important for us to lock into our inner peace. We just saw how we center ourselves and why it's so important to center ourselves, because that's where our power is. And so I was like, Usher, it's the exact opposite. What I'm saying is that peace empowers us to see the possibilities. You want to answer the question, what does this make possible? Then you got to lock into your peace, because that's what lets you see the possibilities of what's possible. When we focus on our peace and get solid in our peace, we can see the possibilities. When we get focused in on peace, that's when we get our vision. That's when we get our vision. And when you get clear on your vision is when you can make a decision. See, the challenge is when we get in struggles and challenges like 2020, so many of us want to just say, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know where to help. I don't know where to support. But when we get solid in our peace, it gives us the vision so that we can then decide. My favorite book says, write the vision and make it plain. Peace gives us vision. Vision empowers us to decide. And then when we decide, we get clarity. We get clarity. Clarity gives you the confidence to commit. Clarity gives you the confidence to commit. What I've discovered is that so many of us are just trying to repair the shattered places in our lives. When this current trauma that we're in, I don't think it was meant for us to fix the broken self that we brought into 2020. What I believe is that this current trauma was meant to shake us up just so we could own our greatness instead of trying to prove our greatness. Because when you have clarity, you get the confidence to commit to your own greatness. And when you bring peace and clarity together, oh my God, you get the courage to take action. And that's where our results are. That's where the results are. When we hit a place in our lives, like 2020 is presented, we have to stay committed to our goal and flexible with our plan. We have to stay committed to our goal and flexible with our plan. I saw a post not too long ago, and the post said that I thought 2020 was going to be the year that I get everything that I wanted. But actually, 2020 was the year that I learned to appreciate everything that I have. And that's the power of this year. That's the power of how you power forward in times of uncertainty. The first thing you do is you got to answer that question. What does this make possible? And when you focus in on the answer, the how is wrapped up in peace, clarity, and courage. We got to have the peace so that we can get the vision, so that we can decide. And when we decide, that's when we get the clarity to have the confidence to commit. And when we commit, we get the courage so that we can take action to get the results.
I celebrate with all of you the life, the legacy, and the love of Ubong King. As he would say to me and my husband all the time, I'm just your boy. I send this tribute as my heart is overwhelmed with just love for him and the entire family, the Think Nation community. I celebrate the legacy, the vision, and the heart. My husband, my youngest daughter, and I was treated to the most amazing experience for Thinkation 2019 as we came from Atlanta, Georgia in the USA to Lagos, Nigeria. And from the moment Ubong and I spoke, it was an immediate connection to his brilliance, to his vision, to his compassion, and to his heart for himself, for his family, for his community, and for his beloved Nigeria. And when we landed, he treated us as royalty, not because we were any different than everyone else. He treated everyone with royalty and respect. And I'm so honored. I'm so blessed to have had the time to spend with him, his beautiful wife, his amazing children, and all the amazing people that he exposed us to when we were in Lagos. And whenever he came to the States, my husband and I were always there. My husband, there was such an impact. There was such an impact that Ubong had, an everlasting impact that he had on my husband, that he had on so many of us from around the world. So I join you in celebrating and lifting up and honoring. You will be missed on this side of heaven, but we know God's plans are perfect even when we don't understand. And so we celebrate you, we honor you, because in God's infinite perfection, we know that the work that you started will continue, that the commitment that you made will bear fruit, and the hearts that you have touched will stay motivated to continue to honor Thinkation, your legacy, and the impact of your presence. And as you would say to us, I'm just your boy, I'm just your girl, sending you love.
Hi, my name is Steve Harris, and welcome to Thinkation. You know, today we're celebrating the amazing life and times of my brother and my friend, a great guy, Dr. Ubong King. And I know that Ubong is totally present here with us, even as we celebrate his life. And today, you know, I've been given the privilege to speak to you, you know, just for a couple of minutes about, you know, the theme, how you can dare to fly. You know, Ubong King dared us to do a lot of amazing things. You remember that he would always say that the only way to get out of trouble is to get into trouble. You remember that. So today I'd like to talk about how many of us as Davids can defeat the Goliaths in our industry. So, you know, Nigeria's pretty hard, you know, and all of us are pretty much like Davids, and we're doing the very best that we can to, you know, defeat the Goliaths in our industries. My thought today is actually taken from scripture. So many of us are very familiar with the story of David and Goliath, and I want to share perhaps what I call the Steve Harris version of this story, the remix of this story, and, you know, bring it really practically to how you as a David can dare to fly even though there are Goliaths around you. Now we know the story. David shows up at the battle, and then he sees this Goliath who's shouting and waiting for them to go into a battle. And David is wondering why no soldier, it seemed, could go to fight Goliath. Now you need to recognize a bit of environmental context, okay? So for 40 days, Israel and Palestine, or the Philistines, had a stalemate for 40 days where they would not attack each other, where each country would bring one man to fight. Now, Goliath was the champion, and for 40 days, he'd been coming out there looking for someone who would take him out. Israel had no one at the time who was really willing to risk the sovereignty of the nation in man-to-man combat. But it's quite interesting that David shows up. And normally when we read that story, we think that, David got into the battle and then saw Goliath, picked up his catapult, shot Goliath in the head, killed him, and won the story. But this is the remix, okay? Now let's consider a few environmental factors. Number one, Israel is incredibly hot. Number two, Israel is a mountainous region. It's got mountains, got valleys, it's got hills. It's got a lot of rock formation. So David shows up and recognizes, I can't beat Goliath toe to toe. The Bible takes time to describe Goliath. It says he was 9 feet tall. He was holding a 6-foot spear. He had an armor bearer who was holding a shield. Goliath was dressed to the nines. He had armor. He was gagged up, as the case may be. And this guy was used to fighting, man to man, right? Now, here's the interesting thing. I don't believe that David just went there and shot him with a catapult. David recognizes that his strategy, because, the Bible says that Saul says to David that you can't beat this guy. This guy's been killing people since he was a kid. You're just a kid. So David doesn't have the experience. So experience sometimes is a disadvantage. David doesn't have the experience. But what does David have going for him? Number one, David has got speed going for him. I'll explain this. Number two, David has got stamina going for him. Now, why do I say he's got stamina? What is David's profession? He's a shepherd. And remember, his job every day was to take sheep like herdsmen, take the sheep from one place to the other every day. David was a herdsman. We don't want to hear that, but David was a herdsman, right? He was taking sheep from one point to the other. Then every other day he would climb a mountain, climb a valley. And, imagine climbing a building, right, that has 15 stories, right? And you're not taking the elevator. Every day you're just walking those stairs. Initially, you're going to feel like you're going to die. But ultimately, what does it do? It increases your lung capacity, and then it builds stamina. So David has stamina by taking sheep every day, climbing mountains every single day. So he's built stamina. Now, if you're going to fight with Goliath, now remember this, Goliath is 9 feet tall, but then he's got a 6-foot spear. So now they say your wingspan, right? So his wingspan is 9 feet, but then he's got a 6-foot spear. So let's say he's got a 4.5-foot wingspan, and then he's got a 6-foot spear. How many feet is that? That's 10 feet. So David recognizes that it makes no sense to get between 10 feet of Goliath, because if he gets within 10 feet, Goliath can hit him, right? Now, what does David do? Number two, this is my second point. David changes the battle formation to suit him. Now, sometimes what we're trying to do is we're trying to, adjust to the environment. No, what you should do is to make the environment work for you. Sometimes we try to fight our enemies the way our enemies are used to fighting. We need to change how our enemies fight us. All right. So what do I mean by that? David recognizes that his strategy is to wear down Goliath. Now, don't forget, David is wearing armor. He's got all this armor. And don't forget, Israel is a very hot place. So David recognizing Goliath is wearing armor, it's hot. If I can get him to sweat, if I can get him to get tired, this is not a fight that is going to be over in 15 minutes. This is a fight that might take a long time, which is why you must have stamina, which is why you must have capacity. If you're living in Nigeria watching this, or in Africa, you definitely have stamina. You know what I'm saying? Everything in Nigeria, everything in Africa sometimes seems to be working against you, right? It builds your stamina. But number two, you must have capacity. Now, why is that important? So now imagine Goliath is trying to expect David to fight him like a real man. But this is what I believe David does. And remember, this is the Steve Harris version. I believe that David gave Goliath as much distance as possible and started stoning him. Started stoning Goliath. Goliath is like, am I a dog? Why are you throwing stones at me? Fight me like a man. And he would chase David. David would run. He would throw a spear. David will duck. Goliath will have to go and retrieve the spear. David would throw another stone, and it was like a stoning competition for I don't know how long. Personally, I believe it took a long time. The third point, you must make sure you have lots of ammunition. Now, you may not have the equipment that Goliath had. Goliath has a sword. Goliath has a shield. Goliath has armor. David has none of those things. But you know what? Why David has a lot of ammunition? Remember what I said. Israel is a hot place. It's a mountain, right? It's a mountainous region. And what does it mean? It means there are lots and lots of stones. David brings the one tool that has unlimited ammunition. For some of you, your unlimited ammunition is social media. For some others, it's your Instagram. For some, it's your, if you're like me, it's your good-looking face and your very wonderful voice. Whatever your ammunition is, you don't run out of it. There's something you love. There's something you do that when you do it, you just don't run out of it. It just keeps continuing and replenishing. And David has a catapult, and he's got unlimited stones, like bullets all over the place, and he's pelting Goliath and stoning him. Now, this is what I believe. Goliath is going to get frustrated. Fight me like a man. This is a fight that Goliath would have ended in 2 minutes. Come, kill him, the end, we've won. But David is not fighting according to the rules of engagement. He is creating his own rules. Why? Because he wants to dare to fly. Now, what do you think happens? After this continues happening for a while, Goliath gets tired. Now, remember, David has done what you call a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. He has looked at his competition, which is Goliath, recognizing that this guy is covered from head to toe. He has no visible weak spot. But I want to tell you this: every giant is vulnerable. Every giant is vulnerable. Every giant is vulnerable. The giants of corruption in Nigeria or in Africa, it is vulnerable. FIRS are vulnerable. I don't even know what I'm saying. Every giant that is stopping your progress is vulnerable. Your responsibility is to figure out what is your SWOT analysis. Now, why do I say this? The Bible describes Goliath. He's wearing armor. He's got this. He's got that. But David recognizes that if I can run this battle long enough, because the Bible describes David as a military strategist. Scripture says that he never lost a battle. Now, check this out. David recognizes that if I can run this battle for a long time, I have stamina. Goliath is hot. If I can get Goliath to take off his helmet, then I will hit him where it hurts. Now remember, the purpose of all this activity was to get Goliath into the place where he could take off his helmet. But I want to quickly tell you something very important. I believe, and remember, this is the Steve Harris version, so stay with me. I believe that there were some shots that David was taking that he would deliberately miss. Now, what do I mean by that? If David took a shot and each shot hit his targets, Goliath would be able to say, he'd be like, say, this guy, they use me, they play, right? But if David would take some and miss, right, Goliath wouldn't feel threatened by the time he had to take off his helmet. Now, what do I mean by this? There's certain shots you are taking that you are going to miss, sweetheart. You will try that business idea, it's gonna suck. You're gonna try this ad, it's gonna suck. You're gonna try this idea, it's gonna suck. You will seem to be missing, but don't stop fighting. Can I say this again? You might seem to be missing. Your shots may not be hitting, but don't stop throwing. Don't stop hitting. Don't stop being in the battle. Don't go home and quit. You are too close to fail. I know this is Nigeria, this is Africa. Things are testing you, but don't stop hitting. So I believe that as David is taking shots, he's missing some deliberately, some not deliberately. Goliath is getting tired, and here's the wonderful thing. Remember, he's hot. The Palestinian sun is hot. This David doesn't look like he's going to fight this fight the way it's we're actually configured. And what happens? Goliath takes off his helmet. I believe that Goliath took off his helmet. Maybe he wanted to clean his face and be like, oh, this fight not die. Or, whatever it was. Maybe he was tired. Maybe the sweat was just too much. Maybe he just needed to relax or cool down. But that was the moment that David was waiting for. Now, how do I know that David was probably missing his shots deliberately? The Bible describes that the men of the tribe of David, I can't remember his exact tribe, the Bible says that they were able to hit a target from a significant distance using either their right hand or their left hand. Now, what does that mean? It means that they were ambidextrous. Now, what does that mean to you listening to me right now? You must have the ability to use both hands. One hand to hustle, one hand to learn. You've got to be able to use both hands. This is not the time where you're one-handed. This is the time that you've got to be ambidextrous. You've got to learn as you're watching people doing the bust sit challenge or silhouette challenge, and they're all sorts of crazy challenges. Invest in the knowledge challenge. This is the Thinkation challenge. Put something in your brain. Even though people are busting it with their bodies, you need to bust it with your brain. You need to BOSS it. Boss it. Don't boss it. Boss it with your brain, with your mind. This is the time to be ambidextrous, right? And the Bible says that they were able to hit a target from a distance with either their left hand or their right hand. And the moment David recognizes, guys, that Goliath is in that place of not taking him seriously. I want to say this to you. Your giants will never take you seriously. No giants will take David seriously because he looks at it and says, I've got the experience, I've got the exposure, I've got the resources, I've got the skill, I've got the money. You are nothing. You're not a threat. It's beautiful when no one considers you a threat. Why? Because in reality, your competition is not the person in front of you. Your competition is the person coming behind you. Oh, you don't hear me what I'm saying. Goliath would have thought that his competition would have been a bigger, badder giant, but he never saw David coming. I want to tell you, listen to me right now, no one can see you coming. The fact that you're in the background means God is hiding you because no one can see you coming. Do me a favor. I know I'm not there with you right now, but do me a favor. Just tell the person beside you or drop it in the comments and say, no one can see me coming. You can't see me coming. John Cena, you can't see me. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what happened because we tend to think that our biggest competitors are the guys in front of you. No, my biggest competitor is not Jimmy Tewe. My biggest competitor is not the wonderful, awesome Ubong King. My biggest competitor is the person who's watching this broadcast right now, looking at Steve Harris and saying, this guy, I think I'm better than this guy. You, my friend, are my competition. But don't worry, like Goliath, you're not taking my head off because me, I'm David, I'm Goliath, I'm all of them. You know what I'm saying? Right? But the beautiful thing is Goliath takes his helmet off, and in that moment, David strikes. Now, what do I mean? David didn't vacillate. He didn't think too much. He didn't analyze he didn't get caught up in analysis paralysis. He didn't try to get all his ducks in a row. He didn't try to say, oh, let it be perfect. Let me procrastinate a little bit. Listen, when the time of your opportunity comes, you must act. It's all about ruthless execution, taking your shots and doing it now, and do not miss. Let me say this again. Do not miss. Do me a favor, drop it in the comments. Do not miss. Which you got one shot. If you've ever listened to that Eminem's "Lose Yourself," the lyrics are powerful. I encourage you, listen to the lyrics of Eminem's "Lose Yourself." You can't afford to miss it. If you've only got one shot, will you get it? Do not miss. And the interesting thing, we hear the story. David knocks out Goliath. He has no sword, picks Goliath's sword, kills him. But that's not the best part. This is the final part. That's the best part. David kills Goliath, and the Bible says he takes the head of Goliath and he puts it in his tent. Now, why is that important? The Bible says that when he kills Goliath, the army of Israel runs to the field, to the battlefront, and they begin to chase the armies of the Philistines to kill them. The Philistines run away, the armies of Israel run towards them, and they're chasing. Now, imagine if someone saw the head of Goliath and picked it up from the floor. You know what would happen? That person, because he had proof, that person will get the reward of the fact that he killed Goliath. What do I mean by this? You can only get ahead if you have the head. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. I know this sounds like aspire, but I know you're going to work with me. Only those who have the head will get ahead. Where is the evidence? Don't forget, if you remember in the Bible, previous verses before, Saul asked him, he said, what have you done before? David said, I've killed a lion. Saul said, where's the head? He said, I don't have. So I've killed a bear. Where's the head? I don't have. David was not ready to make that mistake again. And when he killed Goliath, the first thing he did was he took his head to the tent so that it would not be said that some other guy killed Goliath, because whoever has the head will get ahead. My point is, now is the time to document all the things you're doing, all the little things. I saw something funny that you can even put the fact that you are an administrator of a WhatsApp group on your CV now, because you can just simply say, oh, I run a program where 200 and something people there, and I facilitate his English, his packaging. If you don't have proof, you will not get ahead. So listen, guys, those are the things. Adjust the environment, change your battle formation, find the right ammunition, execute quickly, and more importantly, get ahead. If you do this, I guarantee that you will eventually fly. And like my brother, the phenomenal Ubong King says, the only way to get out of trouble is to get into trouble. So I wish you guys plenty of trouble, even as you get ahead. God bless you.
Amazing. Sherry Riley, peace, clarity, courage. Oh my gosh, we're taking this away at the virtual experience of Thinkation 2021.
One thing that you said about being clear is that when you're being clear, you can work with it. And not talk about the analysis that Steve.
I mean the ammunition in abundance. Yes. So what's your ammunition?
It's my fine face. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, in abundance. You never run out of it.
I never. You know, talking about the things that the good book, the Bible. You know, just imagine. You know, the story. I was reading the story of Job in the Bible, and then, you know, God Himself was the one that talked about it. Said, "Have you seen my son, Job?" You know, and devil began to say that because your hand is upon. I'm just imagining that Job was a Yoruba guy, and after has recovered from what he, we don't go and want God. God, see your life, man. Don't boast with me again. See, I respect you, but eventually, you want to wound me. But anyway, on the life note, I'm sure Job can never be a Yoruba man because he would have voked, say, God, don't. You can boast with Mark, you can boast with Joyce. Don't boast.
Don't boast with me.
What now? I lost wife. I lost. Am I one meal? God, I'm not your bad guy. Well, Joyce, don't tempt me. Okay. All right.
Sacco in the building.
To know what your strength is, know what your ammunition is.
And deploy with peace, with clarity, and with courage. Performing the song Cry, we have that boy all the way from Bayelsa State, the Ijo boy.
Internationally recognized
Timmy Dakolo.
There's a cry from a young boy in a city running wild. There's a cry from a mother who just lost another child. There's a cry from a people who have nothing more to lose. Everything that they live for has been wasted and abused. There's a cry from a river that has nowhere to flow. And the broad of the river was lost so long ago. And I cried for a reason that only heaven knows. Where did they go wrong? How can we go on? Only hope remains the answer. There's a man on a mission. There's a desperate heart to rule. He has love for the people, yet it costs the people food. He has guns for the people, and a promise yet to come. So they kill one another for a hope that never comes. There's a cry from a river that has nowhere to flow. And the pride of the river was lost so long ago. And I cried for a reason that only heaven knows. Where did they go wrong? How can they go on? Only hope remains the answer. There are so many questions when a lawless trouble sees, like the war in Niger Delta. Would we ever live in peace? I believe in the people, if they only have a chance. There's a hope for the future, but the future is in our hands. There's a cry from the river that has nowhere else to flow, and the pride of the river was lost so long ago. And I cry for a reason. Only heaven knows where did they go wrong. There's a cry from a river that has nowhere else to flow, and the pride of the river was so lost in time. And I heard for a reason. Now I can tell why. Where did we go wrong? How can we go on? Only hope remains the answer. There's a cry from a young boy in a city running wild. There's a cry from a mother who just lost another child.
My friends, do you know what I went through when I got my oil producing license and wanted to develop it? The foreign companies came in, claiming to have funds and technical capacity to develop the field. We signed the contracts, but they didn't do anything for almost 6 months. Eventually they started, but after about 5 months, work had stopped. They had run out of funds. As if that wasn't enough, the accidents were recurring and someone even died. I was very confused. I didn't know what to do. So I went and talked to the other asset owners, Alhaji Dauda and Otumba Shegun, to, ask them how they developed and produced their own oil fields. They informed me that it was being undertaken by one integrated, value-oriented and indigenous company which has a hand in major oil field developments going on in Lagos, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers and even Guyana, Century. I visited their website and gave them a call. They came and we discussed things, agreed, and 1 month later, the assets and facilities were mobilized from their offshore logistics support base, Century Ports and Terminals Limited, to the location. They commenced production almost immediately. When it was reported on the news that oil prices dropped, I was initially alarmed, but I remembered that Century produces their own field through their subsidiary CEPL, using production optimization technology, and so I chilled. Century Group really deserves all the accolades for the success of my field.
My name is Nevas Mumba, former Vice President of the Republic of Zambia. Today we celebrate the life of one of Africa's finest, Dr. Ubong King.
The tallest animal in the jungle. A lion is not the biggest animal in the jungle. A lion is not the fattest animal in the jungle. A lion is not the fastest animal in the jungle. So
he came into my life just about 2 years ago. A man with a sharp eye to identify and recognize talent. This is one of Africa's best assets that God gave to us. A man with eloquence and the capacity to break down the matters of Africa that concern all of us, telling us as Africans we have what it takes to make our continent great. God had gifted him with great insight on what Africa is and what Africa can become. Through his continued talks in institutions and places of work, he raised a cadre of leaders that will never be the same again. He inspired them to believe in themselves. He inspired them that Africa can be better and shall be better. He inspired all of us that yes, we may be called the third world by some nations, but we don't have to accept it. We are the future of world economics. We are the future of world technology. We are the future of the world political system, because Africa sits on vast riches and will continue to command the number one position in terms of the richest continent in the world. But when we think of Dr. King, we think of the message, the man who was drawing that hidden treasure from the hearts of the young Africans to rise up and recognize what we have. So on behalf of the Zambian people, we join the King family in celebrating the life of this great son of Africa. Your loss is our loss, and we stand with you during this time, and may God give you grace and strength as we send our deepest condolences. But at this time, we celebrate everything that he has been to us. Until we meet again, it's so long and peace. My name is Nevas Mumba, former Vice President of the Republic of Zambia.
Hi there, my name is Tony Aspire. At the BRG, we believe in empowering the next generation. That's why we partner with Thinkation, the Memorial Edition. Ubong King has been someone that so much believes in empowering others, and we should not let his legacy to die. Thinkation, Thinkation, Thinkation. Be empowered and become the best that you are. Thanks.
This is still Thinkation 2021, Dare to Fly.
Remember to use the hashtag Thinkation 2021,
and
Dare to Fly. The Ubong King lives on, and just drop your message and let us know what you feel, or what you are sensing and the things you want to see happen from this conference.
We have quite a number of other speakers coming up, and right now, one who is homegrown,
yes,
son of the soil,
mentored,
drilled
by Dr. Ubong King
himself, and he has served as the head of media and communication right here at the Ubong King Foundation.
Yes.
Mike Idiahi.
Hello. This is Mark Idiahi. Wow, what an opportunity that I have today to be on this platform to talk to you. I know this is what Dr. Ubong King will have me do. I'm grateful, internally grateful for him. Very quickly, I'd like to talk to you about the mentality of an eagle. An eagle is a very unique type of bird amongst many other birds. As a people, we often be told to soar like the eagle, but not too many have actually told us how and why that is critical. Listen to this. The fish don't go to swimming lessons. Pretty much the same way the bears or the eagle don't go to flight school or flight lesson. The eagle is designed to soar. The natural habitat of the eagle or the bears is the sky. May I also remind you that if you're listening to me today, that you're not a chicken. Perhaps you may have found yourself flocking around and meandering around with chicken every now and then. Listen, you're only allowed and permitted to eat chicken because you're not a chicken. It doesn't matter for how long you'll be down there. This is a clarion call to you to come up high because you are an eagle and you are created to dominate. You know what? Down below is crowded. Life on the bottom is crowded. That is where you have all manner of competition. There is a misnomer that I found. An eagle was found roaming around with the chicken and pigeon and lost his sense of flight until someone spotted it and decided to separate it. It was only a matter of time before the eagle discovered what he was created to be. Because soon enough, in the place of isolation, he got a revelation that the ground is not his environment. What then happened, in essence, on a particular day, the eagle suddenly flopped his wings and took off, and that was the last day he ever had to fraternize with the chicken. Listen, you must aspire and desire to fly above all earthly encumbrances. Your playing small on the ground is not serving the world any good. Let's look at a few characteristics of an eagle. Number one, the eagle flies alone, and those that fly solo have the greatest wings. Guess what? The reality of life is you will be misunderstood by a lot of people. Not too many will understand your mission, and that's okay. Number two, eagles don't feed on dead animal. You like this. The difference between the eagle and the vulture is their appetite. The eagle has such a voracious appetite. The eagle, when hungry, will name its target and go for the kill, while the vulture will be someplace just chilling and hungry and targeting a dead animal. And what is the difference between these two? The vulture cannot have entitlement mindset, always waiting for life to hand him, just about anything like leftovers, hand me down, and all whatnot. But that's not the same with the eagle. When the eagle is hungry, the eagle go after its target and kill it. When an eagle wakes up in the morning, it doesn't care whether you are an elephant or whether you are an antelope. As long as you have blood flowing in your vein, you are a target. That's the mentality and the attitude of an eagle. The eagle calls his shot and go after his target. He is target driven and vision oriented. Where are my eagles? Number three, the eagle welcome the storm with a smile. I love this. While the other bird take cover when the storm becomes boisterous, the eagle literally smile and welcomes it. The eagle sees the storm and the boisterous wind as an opportunity to glide higher and soar to higher dimensions. Number four, the eagle don't fly with pigeons. I already told you that your association predicts your future. Look around you. Who are the people that you spend your time with? And what are the things that you devote the last chunk of your time on? These will ultimately determine where you'll be in the nearest future. Your association predicts your future. Number five, the eagle has such an extraordinary, unique vision and speed. Now the big question is, are you an eagle or you are a chicken? You have to make up your mind. I don't know what it is that have attempted to keep you on the down, where you have to play low and slow and small, where you have to barely settle for just about anything that life is handing you. Listen to this. I don't know what it is that have attempted to keep you on the ground, playing small, living a low life behind. This is a clarion call. It's about time you stood out from the background to the forefront. Because there's something that you're destined and created to do. No one else can do it just the way you can do it. You must give wings to your wings to fly. Only you can do that. I don't know what excuses you have accepted. I don't know what lie you have been told. And you have justified your life with those excuses and those lies. Listen, Dr. King lived a fulfilled life. He told me he would not want to be mourned as someone who didn't fulfill purpose. Listen. When it's all said and done, what will you be remembered for? Life is full of used to be. That is why Max Moreau of blessed memory said that the richest place in the world is not the World Bank. The richest place in the world is the cemetery. You know why? Because over there in that place, you see a lot of books that were never written, doctors that never practiced, musicians that never sang a song, vision buried alive. If you could hear the sound emanating and oozing out from that place, you will come to understand that visions are screaming out and they are regretting. Look at this. He came to this world full of potentials and giftings, only for him to die and go with all. Listen, the time to live your best life is now. I want to thank God for the life that Dr. Ubong King lived. He made an indelible impact in my life. The world will never forget you. No, not on my watch, not on our watch. When you were here, you were just here as one, but now we have troublemaker all around the world. Thank you for saying yes to God. Thank you for answering the call. Thank you for being the Lion King. And thank you for being the captain of the tribe. We will make you proud. Thank you, everyone. God bless you.
Hi, my name is Joyful Wem Eyo, and I am passionate about transformation, precisely the transformation of the behavior that got you the undesired results to the behavior that guarantees your successful expression of greatness that lies inside of you. You see, I believe that in the minds of every living being, and God help me, I am sure that there is gold in our minds. And if you would dig a little bit deeper, and for some people, you may need to dig much deeper into your mind, and you will find your wings and dare to fly. So the theme of Thinkation 2021, Dare to Fly, reminds me a whole lot about a conversation I had with Dr. Ubong King in the summer of 2019. As you know, Ubong King lived to impact everyone he crossed paths with. I remember he would say to me, Joyful, I will be the ladder that you will need to climb and fly. So he was constantly always ready to help out. He was ready to serve. He was ready to motivate, to impact, to show the way, to lead the way. I remember watching him. I just sat by and I looked at how he treated his daughters. And this is not a one-time thing. You know, all of the times that I spent with him, I sat back and I watched how this man treated his daughters. And I just said to myself, whoever will come into the lives of these girls will need to begin now to learn how to be the man for them. I saw how he treated his wife. He built that wall. He gave her a crown that helped her to become the queen and lead and live in that kingdom. Ubong King lived his life authentically. Even against all odds, he still made it through life. He was the person who was never deterred from anything. He would never let anything wear him down. He would make up his mind to do something, he would do it. No matter what, he would get it. He would achieve whatever he set his mind to do. So I'm asking you today, so how many of you believe that you can do a lot more than you are currently doing? How many of you believe that there's a lot more to achieve? You know, let's say you're already achieving a whole lot. So if you take your mind back to the book of Jeremiah, the chapter of purpose, where divinity and humanity had a discussion, you'd remember God saying to Jeremiah, you see, I knew you, I called you to a purpose. And Jeremiah is arguing. He's saying, God, you know, I'm a child. You know, if I talk, who would listen to me? He wasn't deaf and dumb. He wasn't. So at that moment where he is making all the excuses, he is actually feeling incapable. And let me tell you this about feeling. Every time you feel, there is an impression made on the subconscious. So yes, the economy is bad. It doesn't favor your business. Yes, You didn't have the opportunity to go to school. Probably there was no sponsorship. Or there's one thing or the other that is limiting you in life. You know, it could be anything. It could be any reason. Now, let me make you understand something. Your excuses are valid. They are valid. They are true. They are real. Every excuse you have made, everything you have said to yourself, every excuse you've given yourself as to why you're not able to achieve, why you're not able to make progress, why you're not able to do a certain thing is real. It's valid. It's true. There is no denying of the fact that those conditions are present. They are available. I mean, look around. It's COVID-19. There is lockdown. It happened for almost the whole of 2020. Business is slow. Livelihood is tough. A lot of things have gone bad. The health system is poor. There's a reason for all of this. It is valid. I tell you, you're saying the truth. It's true. I believe it. I know it. I've seen it. But let me ask you this question. So what? How does it serve you? All of the excuses that you have made, how does it serve you? It happened in the generations past. It was different. You think you're different, right? I know you're different. I am different. I mean, this time and age is different from what, was obtainable in 50 years ago, 100 years, 200, cast your mind as far back as 500 to 1 million or millions of years ago. Yes, it's a reality. But let me tell you something. It has always been there. Every generation has always felt different. And there's always a reason to say, oh, the other generation was better. They had this, they had that. So it's a reality. You're not wrong. You're not making it up. You are correct. It's our reality. But let me tell you something else. You can change it. You can change it. And how can you do this? By simply determining what works for you in this generation, in this time, in the space where you are. What works for you? What enabling environments can you create in your mind to empower you to achieve the things that you are meant to achieve? And how can you do this? You cannot do it in the energy of the flesh. You can't do this intellectually. You have to follow this up spiritually. When I say spiritually, I'm not talking about religiously. I'm talking about spiritually. You need to consider this. Do you let go of the ego that has made up your persona? The things that you grew up to believe, the things that your environment, the whole system taught you to believe. The things that your parents may have provided, the environment that you grew up in, set, the culture that you have found yourself in, the limitations that these factors have put on you. Will you let it determine you? Will you be a slave to that ego? Or will you allow yourself, allow your mind to become a host to God? So you can re-establish a neural pathway and instruct it with the right set of command that will establish the kind of environment you need to fulfill your dreams, to become all that God had called you to be. And remember one thing. You cannot try to solve a problem in the consciousness that created that problem. So you have to shift. You have to inform yourself. You have to give your mind a new set of instruction. And the first way to do that is to ask yourself, find an identity, ask yourself, who am I? So if I were to ask you now, who are you? What would you say? What would your answer be? Notice that you start with I am, and maybe go with your nomenclature, maybe your background, your family name, the history of your people, wherever you come from, your geographical location, there's a whole lot, but I'm challenging you today. Go beyond that. Go beyond the intellect. Be inspirited. Who are you? Notice that you start with I am. And I am is the most powerful creative force. So whatever you add to I am becomes your reality. So who are you? I am limited by my location. I am limited by my resources. I am limited by this, by that. Is that who you are? So be careful next time you use the word I am. Be careful what you say after that, because it becomes your reality. And remember, I am is the name of God. I am that I am. And you cannot call the name of God in vain. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter the name of God that you call. God is God. So you have the mind of God. So create the mind of God in you. Empower yourself with a new set of belief that you can. And you will. Ask questions. Find answers. Take personality assessments. So beyond your biology, beyond your DNA, beyond the genes that you've carried from your parents, both of them, there's more to you. There's more to you than that. Find it. Instruct your mind. Dwell upon the new beliefs that you have created for yourself, so you can get fully resourced and believe and say to yourself, I am fully resourced for the fulfillment of my purpose. And you spread your wings and dare to fly.
Hi, my name is Balaji Babalola. I'm a capacity building strategist. I've been here for a while, and I'm this kind of person that sought out for information and for knowledge. I've learned quite a lot of things in years gone by. But one of the most important lessons that Dr. Ubong King has taught me, I was with him in the office one time. We spent like 4 or 5 hours talking that day. And he took me into his bath with a glass of water. Very clean water, and he showed it to me. He said to me that this is exactly how we were when we all came into this world. All of us, you watching me, you were like that. The innocence was there. But he said as we kept growing, the environment in which we grow, the people we meet, the so good experiences we have and the not so good experiences also, they had to us. Some in that process got contaminated. The people we meet, the experiences, the family we grow up, the background we had, and all of that contaminated our mind, that we lost the innocence. So how do we get rid of this? Because if you do not alter that, you might not do well in business, you might not do well in marriage, you might not do well in career, you might not do well in most things, because what affects us are not basically the things outside, but the things we allow to stay inside of us. So he said to me, there is something difficult, but it's very possible to do. And he took me into his bath, put the glass cup by the tap. He opened the tap, and as the water kept pouring into the tap, there was this major purification. Every dirt inside the water started moving out, started going out, and the at the end of it all, the water inside the cup was as plain as it was at the beginning. Now, he said to me that if any man would like to change his paradigm, would like to change the situation in which he is, he needs to look for information. You need to listen. You must be deliberate with the people you hang out with. You must be deliberate with the information you allow inside of you. You must be intentional about your growth. So pouring in intentionally the materials you need, the content you need, eating them up can actually eradicate whatever it is that is inside of you that has been contaminating you. So the same way he showed me that glass cup, and at the end of it all, we have clean water, the innocence was restored. The same way you can also change your own life by listening to people that matter. You've got to be intentional. You can't just wake up and listen to anything. You can't just wake up and go anywhere. You've got to be intentional. People are making it in business. People are having great homes. So don't say marriages are not working. It depends on what you allow inside of you. Always remember this, that it's not the things that are outside that contaminate us. They are the things that we allow inside of us that matters. So we live the intentional about your growth today. Thank you for watching. My name is Bolaji Babalola, and I am just your boy.
3 speakers we have coming your way.
Back to back.
Grace Ofure is known as the queen of real estate sales. She is filled with wisdom and knowledge and believes that business should be treated as spiritual.
And also, talking about property, we also have a guy that I won't refer to him as a guy. He is a recipient of Forbes.
He's an institution.
He's an institution. He's a recipient of Forbes African under 30 recognized. His name is Mr. Wale Olawale Ayilara. If you heard about Landway,
that's the guy.
He's the way. He's the guy that you need to. And now recently just added Oxygen Group to the Landway to give more way.
Oxygen to life.
He's always been part of Thinkation from day one. Last year we had a great time conversing. And thank you so much for joining us on the virtual experience. And then
we have
another person you come back on. His name is Bankole Williams.
Yeah.
He has a great ammunition. Hallelujah.
He has one mission in life, to make people more sought after and highly paid.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, your speakers.
Is Dare to Fly. And before we go into it, I want you to do a bit of an exercise. So wherever you're watching us from, just rise up on your feet and shout, Ubong King, the troublemaker. And I'm going to draw my thoughts from the topic of this year. And I'm saying to you, activating the wings in you. All birds have wings to aid flight. However, when a storm is coming, all other birds seek shelter, except the eagle, which is daring enough to scale through the storm by flying above it. Another level of wings. For there are different levels of wings, and I am the eagle. This is Grace Ofure, a real estate investment expert. I'm going to be starting by sharing a small story of myself with you. When I finished the university, I got into Lagos and I didn't have a job, so I just decided to, as a graduate, begin to sell fairly used clothes, popularly known as Okrika, on the streets of Lagos. And while I was at it, I needed to start to think how to activate the wings in me, because I knew that I wasn't going to do this forever. But there was a turning point in my life that triggered the wings on the inside of me. And today, it might just be that turning point in your life. As you have been listening to other speakers tell you things that you need to ensure that these wings, you are not just flying, but rather you are flying above the storms like the eagle. And so while I saw that's over like 10 years ago, or a little bit more than 10 years. When I was hawking and I sold 25,000 naira, that was the highest I could ever have sold. Saying that I was a graduate and I was ready to hawk fairly used in the streets of Lagos just to make a living. was very excited and I sold 25,000 naira. But at the end of the day, I was trying to put my things together. Guess what happened? I couldn't find the money. Somebody else came in and stole the money. I cried. I wept. I rolled on the floor. It was at number 8 Thomas Salako Oba. I can never forget. If it was the time for social media, I'm sure you'd have seen me on Instablog. Because I was rolling on the floor and begging cars to just come and crush me. Because for me, it was over. It was both my capital, my profit, and everything. But while I was there weeping, then I had on the inside of me that I could actually be what I want to be. And that this incident of my life, I can use it to activate that wings and I'm going to fly. So the first things that happened to me was that this inborn wings in every person, everyone has an inborn wings. Some people call it an inner potential. But what are you? Are you an ego? And I heard again, an ego doesn't give up in any situation. So while I thought that was the end of it, I made up my mind that I was going to be very rich and super rich. That was activating the wind in me. By first of all, being conscious that irrespective of where I am that day, irrespective of the fact that I was ready to die, but I had the potential that I could actually fly my wings above the storm and become the very me that I am today. And from selling used clothes in the streets of Lagos, today, in few years, I handle multi-million-dollar projects of real estate across Nigeria and beyond. Why? A simple thing I did. I activated the wings in me. I'll begin by telling you this story, another scenario that is going to help you. A great man once got into a fight with his neighbor, and in the process, the neighbor hit him so bad and he started to bleed. He resolved to deal with his neighbor, and his neighbor, seeing the drive and anger in his eyes, took to his heels and he chased after him. As they ran, they came to a large gutter which his neighbor crossed with ease. Instant wings came out. Then he that was pursuing saw it and stood. Why? Because the act he had just witnessed had made his passion to cool. The fighting instincts of his neighbor was a way more than his drive to take his neighbor's life. The rational man calls it the fright to flight. Perhaps you would agree with me if I suggest that this neighbor's wings for survival was activated. So many things will make your wings activated. 1, a difficult situation that warrants a revolutionary idea. An action to make a break, see the light at the end of the tunnel in that situation can cause a drastic change. And finally, a drive to cross hurdles and obstacles without stopping to check the depth and the weight of anything around. More often than not, we all find ourselves in this position where we yearn for more. We yearn for improvement. We yearn for a better life. You know, people of affluent class, rich people, crave to create more wealth for themselves. The middle class crave to get promoted in the rank of the affluent class, and the poor in our society trying to break out from the cycle of poverty. To hit the nail on the head, to hit the nail on the head, we all find ourselves at one point or other in a shifting situation that we need a promotion from. And that is why you are here in Thinkation 2021. However, after having detected that we desire to succeed, the smart thing to do is getting a strategy that works. But even that will be like driving a vehicle without fuel if you lack to drive to the if you lack to drive to propel you to make that strategy work. But that is for an ordinary man to consider. The exceptional man, his thinking exceeds merely running or to drive or to make the strategy work. The exceptional man has structures and has questions that makes him run and eventually fly. Why should the sky be your limit when it can be your starting point? Why own a building when you can own the estate? Why crave to work in Chevron when you can own an oil well? The key is dreaming big, conceiving big ideas, aiming big. But then, even the dreams are like faith that would not succeed the winter without works. So this is the big question. What is your drive? What's your propellant? What's your push? My drive that day when I was on the front line was I saw my little daughter, and I knew that if I don't do something today, we will end up living in the shackles of poverty, and I didn't want to be poor. My push was that I wanted to succeed for others. My desire was I wanted to be a success that others could look at and be propelled to become something. My push was that I was not ready to give up, irrespective of what came my way, and I was at it. And that automatically activated my wings, and I was ready to soar high. At every level of my flight, I needed to reactivate a higher energy that took me from one level to another. Just from the flight, but from the need to conquer. In fact, flight works if it would get you to achieve your choice of lifestyle. If you don't have any reason why you should fly, being poor or remaining poor should scare you. Being stagnant for years without progressive improvement should scare you. Living a life of so dependent on others for your next meal or for your next travel. Yes, living in a particular house for a long time and not desiring to take your family to the next level should scare you. That should activate your wings. Think about that situation you need freedom from. I said, think about it. Think about that situation you really need freedom from. If there is none, provoking situation can transform you, that you will always make the best version out of yourself at every given time. Like, dare to crush your 5 years target in 5 months. When you begin to think of how you can crush your 5 years target in 5 months, you begin to activate your wings to fly. I remember last year during the COVID-19 pandemic, because I had written down the goals and targets for the year and had activated the inner wings in me to fly in that year, the COVID-19 could not stop me. Let me tell you, in the year 2020, I had in my business 2,000% increments. Can you beat that? Why? Because constantly my wings were up and I was ready to fly above COVID-19 situation. And these are the key things you need to do. Number one, get network of powerful people around you. They can actually activate your wings. Or in fact, become like me. Become the very powerful person yourself. Make up your mind that you are the next big deal in your family. You are the next big thing in your career. You are the next big thing in that establishment. You are the next big thing. You will be watched. Make up your mind that you are tired of watching people unseen, that it is your time to watch. By the time you are conscious enough, you are thinking through it, you are ready, your wings will come out and you begin to fly. If you have already acquired success, dare for more, if not for yourself, but for others around you. If you have a staff strength of 100, why can't it be 500? Why can't it be 1,000? Do you know how many people are jobless in our nation, Nigeria? Why can't you be the next man taking people off the street? That tells you that there is still so much room for your wings to fly. Chase your dream and purpose like your life depends on it, because truly your life depends on it. I remember a story in the Bible. They said there was a wise man. With all of his wisdom, he was not heard. He gave counsel. Nobody heard him. Why? Because he was poor. Refused to be poor. Refused to accommodate poverty. Refused to accommodate it. Refused to be. It's a choice. The day you decide to be poor, the day you decide to refuse poverty, the day you decide to live where you are now to the next level, you will walk out. And not only will you walk out, you will begin to fly. Listen to your heartbeat, your eardrums, and follow the course that will rush you through your veins. Let the excitement of the next step closer to your dream make you excited today. Let that excitement come out in you. That also can cause your wings to fly. By just being excited at your new level. Activate the wings and soar as high as possible. Remember, there is also something I read in the Bible. He said there is nothing impossible with you. He said in you there is no if. There is no if. If? No, not to you. Anything is what? Possible. Once you are determined and you know that anything is possible, your wings will come out and indeed you will fly. Remember that it's not enough for you to run when you can fly. Maybe you are running. Don't you think it's time to begin to fly? If you look at the life of Ubong King that we are celebrating today, I'm actually celebrating the life that he lived. You know why? Ubong King was an eagle. Against all odds, he became the best of him. And one thing that he did was to impact lives that even until rapture, we will not forget him. A lot of people cried. Why? They said he didn't live for long. But remember that Jesus lived a little above 33 years. And today, we are still talking about Jesus Christ. So it doesn't matter how long you live. What matters is what impact did you make? If a child that crossed cannot help, I want us to talk about this scenario. Just take for instance, you can do it as an exercise. Sit on the floor. Get your friend to sit with you on the floor, bare floor. Both of you are on the floor. You know what I want you to do? Do that exercise. Try to lift up your friend. Can we do that? I'll give you some time to do it. So if you are, wherever you are right now listening to us, get somebody quickly. Get them to sit on the floor. Get them to sit on the floor. So let them sit on the floor. You sit on the floor. Try and lift this person up. You know what happened? You will not be able to lift him up. He too will not be able to lift you up. That's what happens to you when you are crawling. Then when you are running, this is what will happen to you. You will get tired and you'll be able to cover distance. And don't even try to run in Lagos with a traffic jam. What will happen to you when you are supposed to get to VGC in 10 minutes? With this traffic jam, you'll get there in 3 hours. But if you are flying, nothing will stop you. So if you do not even have any reason why you should fly because of Ubong King. I'm sure for you to have attended this conference this year is because of the things that you remember that Ubong King told you. First of all, he said, trouble yourself to succeed. He said, be hungry enough to be a success. So if you don't have reasons to fly for Ubong King. Why don't you fly for him? Don't you think he deserves it? I think he does. I remember when he invited me to Abeokuta to come and talk to some young people and inspire them to become the best of them. I remember him telling me then, that was before we had a conference in Kenya, where he spoke to me, he said, Grace Offering, you know, there is so much in you that you need to tell the world. If I wasn't willing to begin to motivate people before, now I'm willing to do even more. In that aspect of my life, I am ready not only to fly, but to soar. Why? Just like Ubong King. So, whatever it is and wherever you are today, remember that all Ubong King wanted from you is to be the best of you. So, do something. Don't just run. Don't just crawl, but fly. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Hello everybody, my name is Olawale Ailara and welcome to Thinkation 2021 and the team is Dare to Fly. But first, before I start my own session, I'd like to pay tribute to a very, very, very amazing man, a superman for that matter. My friend, my brother, a very, very deep mentor, Ubong King. You know, I've had the privilege of knowing him for some years. And I can tell you that every moment I've had the privilege of spending with him has been very, very, very amazing. A very deep man, lover of God, and is always going over and beyond for everybody that I've known to have one thing or the other to do with him. I've been part of his network for a while now, and I can tell you that it has been of great value to me. You know, anytime we sit and talk, it is always a great time. We share ideas together, full of energy, full of life, ready to be there for you anytime you call on him. So it was a very, very deep one for me when we heard of his passing on. But I tell you, one reason why we are consoled is the fact that we are assured that he lived a very, 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 very impactful life, most especially to everybody around him and to the world at large, because it's been a blessing to so many people, so many people. He sacrificed a lot, a very good family man. He's always advising me on how to balance my family life with business, and I've learned a lot from him. But we know that he lives on, because the memory of the righteous is blessed. And we are blessed by the impact that that is left behind and the amount of information that we can still get to draw from him. So Ubong King lives on, and here we are today. All for him is way, way, way out of this world. But here we are today still talking about him. And that shows how impactful his life has been. Now, I'm just going to start on my session, which is Dare to Fly, and that's the theme of the conference, by the way. But I've been thinking about the theme of this event, this 2021 Thinkation event, for a while now. And I've been asking myself, what else can I tell people? I mean, information is all out there. Whatever you want to do with your life, I think that you can learn a whole lot from online right now. But humans, we can't fly. We can't literally, we don't have wings. So we can't go out there and start flying. But what this means is that we still can fly in several ways. Physically, we don't have wings, but we fly. We fly through the ideas of the Wright brothers first. We started with them, and we can fly way above sea level. And now, not only within the planet Earth, we can even fly outside the planet Earth. That tells you and shows you the power of human mind. That there's no limitation to what we can achieve as humans. There's a lot we can do with our mind. I think that daring to fly starts first with the mind. You have to be able to fly with your mind first, and then physically you can fly. You can fly in your career, you can fly in your business, you can fly in your family life, you can fly in several aspects of your life. And I believe that it starts with the mind, and I'm really going to talk a lot about the mind, because the mind is the starting point for anybody's achievement. They say that if you can think it, you can achieve it. But I don't want to sound like a motivational speaker, and these are not motivational talks, but they are realities. They are realities that tells us that our mind is so powerful, and whatever we can think about, whatever we can conceive, we can bring them to reality. I don't know what it is you want to achieve in your life. I don't know what you think is affecting you from achieving those goals. I don't know what you think that is limiting you from reaching far and beyond what you are thinking in your mind right now. But I tell you, if your mind is in the right position, if your mind is strengthened, if your mind is stretched, if your mind is developed to that capacity level, you can do tremendous things. Can you imagine the amount of technologies that we have now, and the ones we have now, and the ones we are still going to have? The amount of information that is available out there, how we as human beings. Now, when God created the world, when God created the world, He didn't create airplanes. There was no cars. There was nothing. There was no technology. But with the human mind, with the human capacity, we've been able to achieve all of these things. Now, that is why they can only tell you that we discover, because everything you need to fly is already here on the planet Earth. All you need is just to discover. I'm not sure you know how many inventions that we have right now, and these inventions are not from angels. They are from human beings, just like you and I. They are not angelic inventions. They are not from heaven. They are people like you and I who have been able to stretch their mind to come up with powerful thoughts that can shape the entire universe, that can shape the entire course of human existence. And these people have been able to do tremendous things. You can imagine what you can do. There's no black and white brain. Every brain is the same. It all depends on how you can stretch it. It all depends on how you believe that your dreams are valid. It all depends on what you embracing your fear, transforming your doubt, succeed when you expect to fail, and soar to greater heights. Because Ubong King has a quote: when royalty walks in faith and believes, it can fly. That is, when you believe, it starts with your mind first. And you need to believe that you can achieve it. I'm not trying to psych you up, but I want to tell you that no matter whatever you are thinking now, it has been achieved before. There is nothing new. We are just implementing on already existing innovations, already existing creativity, already existing technology. So nothing is new. There are two kinds of creativity: creating something out of already existing and creating something entirely new. Entirely new is it takes a mind that is well optimized. But you don't even need to create something entirely new. Just look at what is already existing and ask yourself, how can I advance it? There's nothing you want to do now that is no template somewhere or that has not been done before. All you need to do is sit down, stretch your mind. And how can you stretch your mind? It's through information. It's through information, garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you feed your mind on will determine the result that you achieve out of life. So what are you feeding your mind on? How are you stretching your mind? First, to stretch your mind, you need to feed it with the right information. Your mind cannot be stretched without the right information, no matter what. No matter what. If I ask you 2 + 2 now, you will probably be able to tell me. You tell me that it's 4. But if you don't have the opportunity of going to school to have that access to that information, arithmetic knowledge that tells you that 2 + 2 is 4 and can put that together, you will not be able to answer that question. And that is how the mind works. So how do you feed your mind? How do you load your mind? Because however way you load your mind will determine the kind of result you get out of life. And that tells you that life is all about growth. You cannot fly if you are not growing. It's important. You can't. It's impossible for you to fly without you growing. And growing requires a lot of process. Growing is a process. You have to feed on something. You have to be ready to do the work. You have to roll up your sleeves and be ready to strengthen your mind, because it all starts with the mind. The Bible says that be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Nobody can be transformed without the mind being renewed first. If you bring a 18-year-old boy from the village, you probably laugh at the boy because probably he has not seen some kind of technologies before. But put that boy in the city for a while, you will see the way he will begin to think, you will see the way he will begin to talk, you will see the way he will be, because life is all about what you feed your mind, because no transformation can come without your mind. A lot of us, we want to do amazing things. We want to be seen as a high flyer. We want to do well in our career. We want to do well in our business. We want to do well in everything that concerns us, because life is all about growth in itself. But what are you doing to nurture that process? What are you doing to nurture? Because you cannot just wake up and say, I believe I can fly. It's not by words. There is process to it. You cannot achieve these things if you don't follow the process of growing your mind. Because there are a lot of people, though they are growing with age, but their mind is not growing. They don't understand. They don't want to go to those difficult areas. They don't want to stretch their mind, because your mind and your brain works together. They don't want to stretch their brain. They don't want to take that. They don't want to ask themselves some deep questions. Why am I here? What am I here to do? How can I be a blessing to others? Rather, a lot of people think, how can I get from the others? And that is not the way to think, because we are all here to contribute our own quota, to make the world a better place, to do magnificent things, to do amazing things. See, I told a friend, I said to the friend, we are on a project right now, and it looks very gigantic. And she said to me that, wow, how did you come about this project? Why did you have to think about this project? Why did you have to take on this kind of big project? But I said to the person, why are we here if we don't do big things? Why are we here if we don't do big things? Yes, why are you here if you don't do big things? You must channel your energy towards big things. Those who are achieving big things, they don't have two heads, they don't have two brains. Our brains are the same. Don't be deceived. Every IQ is the same. It all depends on the kind of formation that you put into it. And it's very important. You have to do the work, because you are not too big to roll off your sleeves. You're not too big to learn anything. And it's very important. You need to invest in yourself. You cannot fly if you don't invest in yourself. Knowledge is very important. My people perish for lack of knowledge. Knowledge tells you that if you don't have me, you will perish, because people excel through knowledge, and nobody can achieve big things without knowledge. And you have to surround yourself with people who share the same values as you, people who have stretched mind, people who are going in the same direction as you. People, see, you cannot grow if you are moving with people who are below your knowledge capacity. I don't know the class that you are in right now, but you can't expect somebody to grow. You are in 200 level in school, and you are moving with somebody in primary 2. What do you want to learn from that person? Absolutely nothing. You would have to be the one they are learning from. So it's important, if you want to grow, you have to surround yourself with good people. I mean, when I say good, what I'm talking about is people with tremendous capacity, people with greatness in them, and nobody is born with greatness in their forehead. People work their way to greatness. It is not by magic, it's by hard work. And hard work that I'm talking about is investing in yourself, because this is very, 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 very important.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as we make welcome Ubong King.
I came to ginger. I came to vibrate. Fundamental force. When you are 20 to 30 years old, you are supposed to be making mistakes.
I'm older than that boy by 14 years. But that guy runs only 10 seconds. The whole world knows him. He was exercising. What do you exercise for? Time is the common gift from God to everybody. Rich man and a poor man have the same 24 hours. But what you do with the time is what differentiates. The time has come. I only came to shake the table this morning. Tomorrow I will break it and remove it. My name is Ubong King and I said God bless you.
Hi everyone, it is indeed an incredible honor to be doing this in celebration of the life of my friend, my brother, Ubong King, who has gone to be with the Lord. Ubong is such an amazing person who has blessed a lot of us, and I'm happy to be doing this on behalf of me and my friends. I want to say that this is an interesting, incredible initiative to empower you. Ubong would have loved for Thinkation to be happening right now. I'm glad that we've seized the opportunity to do this in honor of him. I will be speaking on the subject, Dare to Soar. Don't just fly, soar. And the creature, the animal that we know that is synonymous with soaring is the eagle. And I'm going to be sharing certain things about the eagle that I believe if we begin to apply in our lives, we will get to a point where we don't only just fly, but we soar above clouds. Right? I'm going to share 4 principles, right? And it's actually an acronym, SOAR. The first point here that I'd like to share is sight. Eagles have very, very good sight. An eagle can see something the size of a rabbit, right? From over 3 miles. So an eagle has very good vision. And I think it's important that, you have a great vision for your life. One of the things I found out is that the wealthiest people tend to see the farthest. God is the wealthiest being in the universe. And guess what? He sees the end from the beginning, right? You want to be wealthy in life. You want to do great things in life. It's important that you have sight. It's important that you have vision. Vision is a picture of a future that compels you to embark on a journey and stay on that journey, no matter how rough the road is or how long it takes you to get there. So regardless of the obstacles, right, you keep moving in the direction of that thing which you see. So it's important to understand that the wealthiest people, they see the farthest. They see, really, really big, huge stuff a good mile or a good distance away. On the flip side, the poorest people see the least. If you go out on the road and you see beggars, right, ask that beggar what their vision is, right? They'll probably laugh at you or something because the most that they see is their next meal, right? So it is important for you to recognize that if you want to thrive in life, if you want to soar in life, you must have a vision that is bigger than where you are presently, that is greater than the limitations of the current resources that you are exposed to in this season and phase of your life. My question to you is, 5 years from now, where do you see yourself? What kinds of dreams and aspirations do you have for yourself, right? Forget about the challenges. And I know the challenges are real, but the truth of the matter is you cannot limit your vision to the present circumstances and situations that you're facing. You must see beyond the circumstance. You must see beyond the situation. You must have a vision that is bigger than where you are presently. Eagles have vision. They see from a far distance, and that influences their motion in the direction of their desires. Right? The second thing which I'd like to share, my second point today, is orientation. So sight, O, orientation. Now, orientation is so important. What is orientation? Orientation is your set of beliefs, feelings, and attitudes about a particular subject. It's the way you view life and the way you view a situation. Your orientation is the set of lenses that you wear in front of you that determines how you look at life and look at the situation. Most people, what I find is that their orientation to life is that they see all the problems. They see all the challenges. But what I found out is that problems carry opportunities on their backs. Opportunities can put money in your pocket. It all depends on your orientation. And I can give you different stories. I'm reminded of a story of two guys from a shoe manufacturing company who were sent to India to expand the scope of their business. The first guy gets to India and he sees Indians are not wearing shoes. And he says to himself, you know, Indians are not wearing shoes. Why did they send me here? This is an utter waste of my time. Calls the home country and says to them, please send me money. I'm coming back home. Indians don't wear shoes. Our business cannot thrive here. Right? His orientation was such that all he saw was the problem. The second guy gets to India. His own orientation was totally different. He gets to India. He sees Indians are not wearing shoes. And he says to himself, these guys have not started wearing shoes. Right? Calls the home country and says to them, the shoes you sent me with are not enough. Please, can you send more shoes over? Our business is about to boom. You know, somebody once said that they are sure that person must have been an evil man. He saw market. He saw the opportunity to make money. And that was his orientation. Now, these guys had the same situation, but different orientations about the situation. And I'm saying to you that if you want to thrive, if you want to fly, if you want to soar, you must come to life with a different set of lenses. You must understand that regardless of whatever problems you see, right, problems are only one side of the coin. On the other side of the coin lies an opportunity. And your ability to see opportunities will determine whether you thrive in this life. My third point today is association. And this is so critical. So critical. Ubong was my association. He was somebody in my industry who I respected, but he was also a great friend. I was inspired by the kinds of results that he produced. I was inspired by his drive, inspired by his vision, his passion, for impacting lives. And because I had someone as great as that in my circle, right, that quality of association influenced me positively. Guys, we are all products of our association. You cannot surround yourself with successful people and not be successful. If you perpetually surround yourself with people who are failing, you would be a failure like them. And that's because you become what you behold. If you consistently behold and are surrounded by people who talk down on you, who don't believe that there's a bright future ahead of you, who don't believe in your possibilities, right? You will not be great, and that's the truth. Even Jesus, right? His friends and family members, they really couldn't see the greatness in him, and he had to move away from them. The same way I'm encouraging somebody who is listening to me. If you're surrounded by people who are naysayers, who don't see the greatness in you, find friends who see, the beauty that you possess, and they see the magnificence that you carry. It is important to have that quality of people around you. So critical. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself, speaking to maybe a Caucasian, somebody who has an accent, and then you notice somewhere along the way that your accent changed, right? It wasn't like if you deliberately decided that you were going to switch it up, but you just found yourself speaking like them. Right? That's the power of association. You didn't consciously decide to switch, but you just found yourself switching. That is the power of positive association. We learn without even trying to learn anything. Right? Just by being around people, you are picking up mannerisms, you are picking up attitudes, you are picking up behavioral traits that would help you. So deliberately decide to put people who are succeeding in the field that you want to succeed in. Put them in your circle, make them your association, and very soon you'll find yourself vibrating at their frequency. I'm reminded of the law of resonance that states that when you put a static string beside a string that is oscillating or vibrating at a certain frequency, very soon you will notice that both strings are vibrating at the same frequency. That's the power of association, right? Resonance will begin to occur in your life. So don't forget that. Association. The final one is R, resilience. And just before I forget, because it's important to connect this to the eagle, right? Do you know that when an eagle meets another bird in top flight, it must be an eagle? Did you hear what I said? I said when an eagle meets another bird in top flight, it must be an eagle. What does that tell you? They don't just flock around with other birds on the ground. No, right? They fly high, and they fly high with other creatures like them. If you bump into creatures that are flying low, you are probably a chicken and you're seeing the butt of the other chicken in front of you, right? So it's important to ensure that you surround yourself with the right association. The fourth point here is R, and that is risk taking. Guys, more than ever before, right? We need people who are daring. The theme of this event is Dare to Fly. We're looking for people who are daring enough to break out of the mold, break out of their comfort zone. Ubong was somebody who ran a business and was doing well. He was comfortable in that business, but this guy broke out, got a CEO to run that business, to start out a new life as a motivational speaker, right? He came into an industry that was new to him, and in just a few years he became one of the notable names in that particular space. He was a risk taker enough to dare to follow his heart. His heart was charging and channeling him in a certain direction, and he took the bold leap to make that bold decision to come into the industry and make a significant impact. The same way I'm challenging you, using Ubong, right, as an example, challenging you to believe that regardless of whatever people are saying, regardless of what the economy is saying, it is possible to take calculated risks in the direction of what your heart yearns for and what your heart is strongly resonating for. It is important to take those chances. You only have one life. You only live once, right? Take advantage of the opportunity that you have, the breath that you have in your nostrils, to make this life count, to make a positive impact in the environment that you find yourself in. One day we will all be 6 feet under. The question is, what would the world say about you when you're gone? Right? The world has celebrated Ubong and we're saying great things about him because he's a risk taker. Do you know that the eagle, right, when it has eaglets and they're small, they're young, at a particular point in time, it begins to shake the nest so that the eaglets can fall off, and it does that, takes the risk of kicking out its young ones, and when it kicks out the young ones, you would think that that's a harsh thing to do to your baby, and it wants the eaglets to begin to flap its wings to fly. And it catches the eaglet when it doesn't flap its wings, puts it back in the nest, shakes the nest again, kicks the eaglet out, because it wants the eaglet to take the risk and begin to try to do stuff for itself. And that's my charge to somebody here, to begin to take the chance to attempt to do that thing that authentically you're created to do. An eagle was not created to remain in a nest. It wasn't created to flock with other birds and eagles. No, it was created to fly. So that potential already exists on the inside of you, right? God expects you to utilize and maximize that potential, right? So stop being, a local champion. Stop rejoicing over that, seemingly small territory that you are in. The world is your stage. Right? You should consider the globe and see how you can begin to do things beyond your comfort zone. Yes, you have a business that operates in Lagos or in Accra, but why can't that business operate in other countries of the world? Why can't that business go beyond the shores of Africa to other nations of the world? Why can't you just be bold enough, to be daring enough to take the chance, right, to do something phenomenal and do something great, so that you leave imprints in the sands of time, and when one day you are called by our God to come to be with him, the whole world would rejoice and will be grateful and glad that you came to this world. We saw you, you came, you saw, and yet you conquered. And that's precisely what our dear brother Ubong King did. And this is in dedication to an amazing man who has been an incredible inspiration to me, to my friends, to his family, and to the world. And I pray that you would apply these principles so that one day when you stand before your Creator, he would say to you, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have done my bidding." I pray that this is your story, and I pray that you take the bold move to soar. I dare you to soar. Thank you.
Understanding business and structure from the Bible. Minimum number of businesses Ubong King should have is 4. Minimum. Pareto's principle says 20% of your investment brings 80% of your result. How do you get it? Question is, how many of you want to be successful in life? I need to see those hands go. God says a dream is not what you see when you sleep. A dream is the one that will not allow you to sleep. My success is not that I'm the best in this industry. I am the most obsessed in any industry I put my head in. The first enemy of success is success.
My name is Olayode Juliana. I'm an actor, I'm an author, I'm an influencer. I remember that one of his favorite songs is "I Believe I Can Fly." And I also remember the very first time he shared his life story with me. I was just sitting right in front of him and wondering how that one person had gone through everything he had shared with me and how far he had come in life and the so many things that he had achieved. When I got a picture of the flyer for Thinkation, my hands were literally shaking and tears welled up in my eyes as I remembered that "I Believe I Can Fly" was one of his favorite songs, and we listened to it countless times, especially when he wants to challenge me to take the next giant step. I also remember the very first time he shared his life story with me. I was deeply touched and I was so inspired. So the flyer took me back, reminded me of the time when Ubong King shared his life story with me, and reminded me once again of the many good times that we had together. And so I thought to myself, Ubong King dared to fly. He lived his life every day daring the impossibilities. It was almost as if Ubong King wakes up every morning to say, "Where is that impossibility that wants to stop me? I dare you to cross my path. I dare you to stop me." Ubong King was unstoppable. He lived and he still lives on. I am a life that Ubong King greatly impacted and touched. So in spite of the pain in my heart, I draw strength from God and from his voice in my head right now, cheering me on, because it's almost as if I can hear him right now. His life is a perfect example of one that dared to fly. I pray that he continues to rest in peace in the bosom of Christ. Amen.
How many of you want to be successful in this life? I need to see your hands. You want your children to respect you and be happy that you are their father and their mother and future. Very good, very good. If you cannot count, you cannot be rich. Question 1, how old are you? Question 2, who taught you to be poor? The opportunity to think quickly. When you don't have trouble, you can't think. Right now, they are looking for you to say, "Where Dosa?" Twale. When you fail to run the race of dignity now, you will run the race of entertainment for somebody tomorrow. Your problem is not your location. Your problem is your thinking. The lion is not the tallest. The lion is not the biggest. The lion is not the fastest. The lion is not even the strongest. But yet he is the king of the jungle. It has only one trait, attitude. If you say the lion does not have, what excuse do you have to tell me that your father did not pay school fees for you, that your mother did not send you to London, that your uncle did not buy you iPad to do school? It is not a function of your location, for as a man thinketh.
Welcome back. We trust you're having a fantastic time at Thinkation 2021, the virtual experience where we are daring to fly.
And in case you're just joining us, you've not missed. I won't lie to you. You've missed. I'm a very straightforward person. You've missed.
Thankfully, you can watch it again.
You can watch it again, actually, because after today, today is day one. After today, we'll allow you to watch, to go back and stream and watch it and enjoy and absorb everything that you've learned today. It's very important. And it's one thing to absorb it, it's one thing to put them into action. Yeah, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're bringing up the last session of the last speakers.
For today.
Because we continue tomorrow.
Pastor Goke.
Koka.
That's it.
Yes.
People person.
Yes.
He's one person who gives listening ear.
Yeah. He does.
I think it's his signature.
It's his signature. And he's the director of African Missions and Conference at the Rock Foundation, and also at the pastor.
He's a pastor.
He's a pastor.
At the Rock Foundation, at the Rock Cathedral of the House on the Rock.
And I'd like you to know that he's also very, very good, very close pastor to Dr. Ubong King and his family, and we're so honored for the first time to have him at Thinkation, and we trust that it's not going to be the last time. Thank you. Please put your hands together for Dr. Pastor.
Okay, Koka. And if you ever heard of Godfessions, popular Godfessions, that's the guy behind Godfessions. And right after him
is a man that when the first time you hear the word catalyst, it's usually from automobile. Because onto your catalyst, they remove the catalyst of this car. But this man is a man that you can't speak with him or have a conversation with him and not
catalyze your life.
Yeah.
When you hear life coaches in Nigeria, his name comes to you first. So we refer to him as the father of life coaching in Nigeria.
Yes.
Join us, receive the one and the only Lanre Olushola.
My name is Adegoke Koka. I am Director Missions Africa for House on the Rock, the church that Dr. Ubong King and his family attend. I met him 22 years ago, 1999 to be precise. And we've served together, walked together, worshiped together, had the special privilege of taking him through the Finding the Rock and Spiritual Authority classes, which are the workers in training classes for House on the Rock, where he did exceptionally well. And he served from that year till God called him home. UB, Oba, as I call you, we salute the grace of God upon your life. We salute the God in your life. And we want you to know that this is never a goodbye, it's only a good night. Sleep now, King. First of all, I would like to say a very big thank you to the organizers of Thinkation, Thinking Plus Education 2021, the Memorial Edition, for this opportunity. One thing that is quite obvious is that greatness bequeaths legacy. This amazing legacy that Dr. Ubong King has bequeathed to us has to continue, and it is to him that we dedicate this edition of Thinkation. I want to briefly talk about life and what life means, not only to Dr. King, but to each and every one of us. Dr. King is a man that I know fairly well. As I said, I've met him around 22 years ago. I saw him grow. I saw him move away from what he used to be to become what he is. And I saw him impact generations, impact diverse sectors with the grace of boldness that God put inside of him. Yes, we mourn his loss. The Bible doesn't tell us not to grieve, but the Bible admonishes us not to grieve like those who do not have a hope. Now, one thing that I know, that I doubt if most of us know, is that Dr. King had a secret. And that secret is something that I hope to share with you at the end of this time that we have together. As I said, life is life. Life never ends. If anybody ever tells you that life ends, that person really doesn't know what life is. For the Bible tells us from the beginning that life is God and God is life. Jesus said it this way, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And so the life is not a thing. The life is a person. And so you need to understand that this person that the life is he who is life. Now, if life ends, then life cannot be life. I would like to draw two parallels, or just a parallel to what life is. The very first thing I need for you to understand is think with me now, if you will, about a woman who is pregnant with a child in her womb. That child is alive, but the only life that child knows is in the womb. That child grows on a daily basis through the season of pregnancy, and that child injects everything, draws everything, all the nutrients from what the mother has, but the child grows. Everything that is happening outside of the womb is so strange and completely kept away from that child. The only life the child knows is life in the womb. If it's a pregnancy that is normal, that child stays for 9 months in that womb. In that womb. Child doesn't know any other life but life in the womb. Child begins to grow. The limbs begin to develop. The features begin to develop. But that child is so completely kept away from everything that happens outside of the womb. That child continues to grow.
Your values determine your decisions. Your decisions determine your actions, and your actions determine your results.
Now, the day that the woman who is pregnant pushes out that child, the very first thing that gives us proof and confidence that that child is alive is that the child cries. And as the child cries, everybody on the other side of the womb, now the child has been born, maybe at home, maybe in a hospital ward, everybody begins to rejoice, but the child starts crying. The only reason why that child cries is because the only life that the child knows, the child has died to it, which is the life in the womb. Now, it doesn't matter what the doctors do. It doesn't matter how much uncomfortable the child is. At that point that the child is born into this sphere, the child can never access life in the womb anymore. I'm going somewhere right now. So we rejoice because the child is born. We're happy because we're blessed with life. Now we are confident that this child will become all that God has called this child to be. But the child is upset, crying, uncomfortable, because the only life the child knows is the life in the womb that the child just had to die to. In the same vein, when a man exits the earth, And we begin to weep because we believe he's dead. We won't see him again. On the other side, in heaven, that child has just been born into another sphere. Now the child has been born into another sphere. The Bible tells us that angels in heaven begin to rejoice. Like I said, we here begin to mourn because we're going to miss him, because we had plans, because we had unsettled issues, because we had things that we had planned that will happen, but he's no longer here to push those things through. But little do we understand that what that child has done now is to die to life here and enter into another existence in heaven. Because life never ends. What we just do is fly away. And so, the secret that Dr. King had, that I'm going to tell you, is that Dr. King had life in him. And life, like I said, is not a thing. Life is a person. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And because he is the life, whosoever is in him can never die but have eternal life. Whosoever is in him can never be kept down but would always fly away. And that was what Dr. King lived to let you and I know, that nothing can hold you down once you have the life on the inside of you. Poverty cannot restrict you. Unemployment cannot hold you down. You have the mind of Christ. You can think yourself out of any corner. Africa, it's time for us to remember all of the good work that Dr. King Jr. King Jr.
Cut, please.
Cut.
2, 1, action.
Let us remember all that Dr. Ubong King lived for. All that he had, he poured out like he knew time was short. It would be a great travesty for any one of us to have listened to him, to have partaken of that which he gave as a result of the secret that was at work in him, to remain on the floor, to remain kept down. Because like the secret that he had, the grave cannot hold him captive. He's done his bit. He's impacted us with life. He has told us all that we need to know as far as it concerns that which God has sent him to do. And guess what? He flew away. And so, I need to let you know that the time has come for you and I to remember everything and let nothing hold us down and let nothing hold us back. It's all within the reach of your mind. Now, the same Bible says that God is the one who is able to do exceedingly, abundantly, far above all that you can ever ask or imagine, according to the power that is at work in you. That power is the secret that pushed them. And that secret is what I want each and every one of us not only to imbibe but to engage, because you need to know that once that power is at work in you, there's nothing that can hold you down. The Bible says concerning Jesus that death could not hold him captive. He flew away. Now Dr. King rests in Christ. And because Jesus is not in the grave, Dr. King cannot be in the grave. He flew away. You and I are still living on this terra firma. And that means that we remain unstoppable. We've got to do the work, yes, but we've got to understand that thinking plus education will make us fly. We are not a generation of those who are kept back. We are not a generation of those who can be held down. We are a generation of those given the wings of eagles, not only to fly, but to soar, to become all that God has called us to be. He became what God called him to be. He poured himself out into every one of us so that we all can also become what God has called us to be. In conclusion, just like to encourage you that he came, he did his bit, and he's with his master. Your bit is written. You've got to make it happen. Africa, Nigeria, the world, your country, wherever you're watching from, is waiting on you. The Bible says that the earnest expectation of the entire creature awaits the manifestation of the sons of God. You are the son of God. And it's a matter of inheritance, not of gender. It's time for you to fly. God bless you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's such a delight to be a part of Thinkation this year. My name is number 16 Oniru. And no, 16 Oniru is not my house address. Yes, 16 Oniru is my real name. I am one of the sons of the immediate past king of Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria, in the person of the late Oba Idowu Abiodun Oniru. I've been a comedian for 11 years. And in the first 10 years of my career, I didn't take comedy serious because I was looking forward to my inheritance. And so in preparation for my inheritance, I had been reading the book of Joshua 5 years prior to the death of my father. I read the book of Joshua because I realized that in the Bible, no other book talks about land sharing like the book of Joshua. And so every day for 5 years, I read the book of Joshua, and I was prophesying that I will have the choicest parts of Victoria Island. Unfortunately, when my father's will was read, I discovered that it's the book of Lamentations that I should have been reading all these years. Now, as the son of a king, I happen to come across various questions that people want to know about the palace and royalty. Some wise, some unwise. And one of the most unwise questions that I encountered recently was when someone walked up to me. He said, Oniru, I said yes. He said, your papa na king? I said yes. He said, that means on they do jazz. I didn't answer. He said, if you tell us why it be say every time people want drop sacrifice, then they always put them for T-junction. I said, that's very easy. People put sacrifices at T-junctions because nobody knows which direction the gods are coming from. Now, still on the issue of royalty, the Western world understands that the youths are the leaders of tomorrow. And so in a country like England, where the Queen is 94, and the heir to the throne, Prince Charles, is 72, and his own first son, Prince William, is 38, the English people are already working hard that when the Queen passes on, instead of crowning Prince Charles, who is 72 and too old, Prince William will become the next king. When I found out that this was their plan, I was very sure that when my dad passed, I would become the next king, because among his youthful children, I am the most qualified. I am certified in project management. I am certified in health, safety, and environment. I have my business training from one of the best institutes in Nigeria. I am the first of all the Oniru children who attended all levels of education in private schools. I have a BSc from Babcock University in microbiology. I have 2 masters, God and my wife. Yes, those are my 2 masters. Now with all these my qualifications, a 50-year-old man was still selected, meaning that even in the palace, the youths are too young to run. Now, in the spirit of love and in the month that we are in, I'm happy to let us know that today is my wedding anniversary. And I know that I look young to you, but I've been married for a very, very long time. Today makes it exactly 72 months that I have been married. Now, I didn't marry a Southwestern woman because I am a Yoruba man. I went all the way to Akwa Ibom to pick a wife. When my father-in-law heard that my name is Oniru, the first question he asked me, have you seen the list? I said, no, sir. He said, bring the list, let him see. When I saw the list, I knew that the transport fare between Akwa Ibom and Rapture is not more than 15 Naira bus. First item on the list, in bracket, it was put, non-negotiable. When I checked, it was the price of my wife's wedding gown. When I checked the fee that was attached, I saw 4.652 million. I asked my father-in-law, are you sure this is not money for the full wedding? He said, is it full wedding they wrote there? I said, no, sir. He said, pay it. I paid that amount for my wife's wedding gown 2 nights after our wedding. My wife woke me from sleep. She said, baby. I said, yes. She said, I want to dash out my wedding gown. I said, God forbid. We are going to use this wedding gown as mosquito net. To the glory of God, we have been sleeping inside that wedding gown for the past 5 years. None of us has treated malaria. Finally, People ask me, 16 Oniru, where did you meet your wife? Did you meet her in church? Did you meet her at a party? And I tell people, I met my wife at the gym. Because at some point in my life, people were complaining that my stomach was too big and I should shape up as a bachelor. So on the first day, I got to the gym. I saw this beautiful woman. She was on the floor. She was doing press up. It was not the press up that caught my attention. It was the number of press up she was doing. Only this beautiful woman was on the floor. She was shouting 101, 102, 103, 104, 105. So I walked up to her and I said, my sister, can you tell me what is the source of your strength? She said, my brother, don't mind me. I usually start counting from 100. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That is my time.
But let me tell you something, Dr. King. There's something you have to learn. Please don't look down on anybody. Don't even look down on your... But let me tell you something, Dr. King. There's something you have to learn. Please don't look down on anybody. Don't even look down on your... That's another breaking of rules. Treading where even brave ones fear to tread on. So I've always put out myself to provide solutions where solutions are actually needed. That's what I'm trying to say. In 2007, I was thinking of how do I actually impact lives, because I prayed to God in 2003 when most of my businesses were going down. Help me, God. Give me the means and I'll give it back to you through helping the lives of the indigent. So one of the things we did was giving people money, do this business, do that business, and they will come back some months later to tell you, oh, that money. They tell you stories. So my dad said, why not look for some kind of thing? My businesses were making billions, but they were not creating the number of jobs I would like them to create. There are some businesses you sit down in your house and be making billions, but you're not impacting several people. It was then somebody said, why not go into aviation? That one jet could give 1,000 people jobs. That was how I became passionate. I didn't go into the airline because it could give me billions. I went in there because I believed it could give jobs. Then I started studying. I trained myself on it. So in 2013, I bought my first plane. I bought the first 3 planes. They happened to be Donia jets. I took Bolahon Abaton, the owner of Air First Aviation. He was running charter operations. He was my consultant. So when we bought the first 3 planes, I bought one in France, bought the second one in Germany. We went to the US, bought 3 planes, 3 Donia 328 jets. We got back to London. I bought champagne. I don't drink alcohol. I said, but let's celebrate, let's pop. So these 3 jets now can give jobs to 3,000 people. Bolahon said, no. I said, but that's what I told you. He said, no. That these 3 jets, they were executive jets. That's for charter. He said, you only need 3 beautiful girls to market them. You know, charter was booming. The charter business was booming. You don't need any staff. What you need is 3 beautiful girls for marketing. Get 2 sets of pilots for the plane. That's all. You could be making $200,000 every day on each of those planes. He thought, I was angry. He's alive. We fell out that same day. He said, he calls me Chief. Chief, why? Why are you angry? I said, but this is not what I told you. I said I want to employ people, not to enrich myself the more. He is alive. His name is Bolahon Abaton. So he said, in that case, what you want to do is to buy Boeing. You want to go into full-blown airline. I thought it was charter. I said, yes, if that one could provide job. We were supposed to come back to Nigeria the following day. We had to go back to America. We went back to Texas to go and meet Jetran, Douglas Jaffe. We said, we've come back again. What is the problem this time? We want to buy Boeing. He said, why do you want to buy Boeing? I said, I want something that will give jobs to my people. He now looked at me. The white man looked at me and said, don't you think it's a dangerous field for you to venture? Airlines don't last in your country. And there's no gain in airline business. I said I know, but he could give jobs to people. The man stood up and hugged me. He said, this is the first time a Nigerian will be coming here. The man is a billionaire in dollars. They sell planes in 200s. So he came to me and said, this is the first time a Nigerian will be coming here and be talking about his people. I'm going to help you. So, if I tell you the amount I paid for my first 4 Boeing 737 is only God Almighty. You can explain it. Peanuts. That was how I started with 7 planes. And that, it happens that is the first time any Nigerian airline will be starting with more than 2 planes. I started with 7.
What can I say? I feel sad today. I never knew that it would be so soon. I never knew I'd be talking about my bosom friend, my brother, my confidant in this manner today, so soon. We've always known that a day like this will come sometime in everybody's life, but I never knew it would be so soon. Ubong King was my brother and a friend. I've never, in a very long time, met someone with the kind of heart Ubong King possessed. He showed me love. Referring to him in the past is very hurtful. I find it difficult using past tenses for Ubong King. It dawns on me that he may not be here with us for now, but his legacy and his spirit, they live on. He was all about how to help humanity. He was all about how to help the indigent in our midst. He was all about how to help people get up. I think and I believe that my brother, Dr. Ubong King, is with God Almighty. We are not to judge, but if I may be asked to say something about him, I'll say that Ubong King was a good man. He did for Nigeria and humanity could not be quantified in any parameters. He lived for God. He lived for this nation. He lived for the youth, especially the underprivileged. Ubong King will continue to rest in peace. But one thing is certain. Someday, we all shall meet him to part no more. Adieu, my brother.
Understanding business and structure from the Bible. Minimum number of businesses Ubong King should have is 4. Minimum. Pareto's principle says 20% of your investment brings 80% of your result. How do you get it? Question is, how many of you want to be successful in life? I need to see those hands up. God says a dream is not what you see when you sleep. A dream is the one that will not allow you to sleep. My success is not that I'm the best in this industry. I am the most obsessed in any industry I put my head in. The first enemy of success is success.
Thinkation 2021, we know you've had a fantabulous time and we'll be waiting to hear from you.
Please kindly send us an email you could put, that you have below to let us know what your experience has been since yesterday and today.
Tell the whole world about your experiences and use the hashtags, Thinkation 2021,
Dare to Fly,
and hashtag Ubong King lives on. We leave you in the very warm and capable hands of our convener, Thinkation, the one who thought to proliferate thinking and education. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of us all at the Ubong King Foundation, Dr. Ubong Thompson King. The King lives on.
Ubong King lives on. Thank you so much. We love you and have a wonderful evening. But don't go yet. Sit back and watch this video. See you soon.
How many of you want to be successful in this life? I need to see your hands. You want your children to respect you and be happy that you are their father and their mother in future. Very good, very good. If you cannot count, you cannot be rich. Question 1. How old are you? Question 2. Who taught you to be poor? The opportunity to think quickly. When you don't have trouble, you can't think. Right now, they are looking for you to say, where Dosa? Twale. When you fail to run the race of dignity now, you will run the race of entertainment for somebody tomorrow. Your problem is not your location. Your problem is your thinking. The lion is not the tallest. The lion is not the biggest. The lion is not the fastest. The lion is not even the strongest. But yet he is the king of the jungle. It has only one thing: attitude. If you say the lion does not have, what excuse do you have to tell me that your father did not pay school fees for you, that your mother did not send you to London, that your uncle did not buy you iPad to do school? It is not a function of your location, for as a man thinketh.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as we make welcome Ubong King.
I came to ginger. I came to vibrate. Fundamental force. When you are 20 to 30 years old, you are supposed to be making mistakes. I'm older than that boy by 14 years. But that guy runs only 10 seconds. The whole world knows him. He was exercising. What do you exercise for? Time is the common gift from God to everybody. A rich man and a poor man have the same 24 hours. But what you do with the time is what differentiates. The time has come. I only came to shake the table this morning. Tomorrow I will break it and remove it. My name is Ubong King and I said God bless you.